Nephews, a 14-year-old, managed to escape the house, leaving Mashekgo's 69-year-old mother and 18-year-old nephew in the house. Tshwane District Commissioner Major General Samuel Tine says police negotiators spent the day trying to convince Mashekgo to release the hostages and surrender.
In the process, while the team was approaching, just before they entered into the house, 2 shots were heard, and as they checked inside the house, it was found that the constable has taken his life.
He says it's unclear when the 18-year-old was shot, but officers suspect it may have been earlier in the day. Khomezo Modise, Eyewitness News in Mamelodi.
The family of a missing 35-year-old man in Midrand says his girlfriend made claims that he assaulted her with a gun on the day he disappeared. Lebo Mniki was last seen visiting his girlfriend at a student residence at the Respublica Precinct village last month. It's understood that security did not see him leave the premises. Jabulile Mbata reports.
The family of Lebo Mniki says they were shocked to hear claims that he attacked his girlfriend with a gun because he does not have one. His sister Vuyokazi Ndotu says the girlfriend did not account for where he had gone after the alleged assault. Instead, she left her residence. The management of the campus says they have allowed police to access the premises to conduct investigations. Mnigi's sister, Vuyokazi Ndotu.
Came here with a gun, he assaulted me and then he ran off. And then she says he threw his phone in the bin. I don't know anyone that would throw their own phone in the bin.
The residence management says they have also put their own security detail to investigate the matter. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has assured Parliament that the Post Bank won't become another VPS when it finally gets its license to operate as a fully fledged state bank. But Ramaphosa says the entity still needs funds and the proper approval from the Reserve Bank's Prudential Authority before it can be granted a license to function commercially. The president was answering questions in the National Assembly yesterday on the need to capitalize the Post Bank and the creation of a government-owned bank. Babalondenza reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the Post Bank must still clear a few compliance hurdles before it can establish itself as South Africa's state-owned commercial bank. He says this is because of the stringent conditions of the Reserve Bank to ensure that the industry involves the correct people. He says while VBS was not a registered commercial bank before it was looted and collapsed, the new Post Bank won't follow suit.
And that is why the type of mishap happened in the VBS. What we are seeking to do now is to forestall, to make sure that what happened, for instance, in VBS does not happen.
Ramaphosa says the regulatory environment to function as a commercial bank is governed by many laws that ensure that the banks remain compliant. Baba Londenze, Eyewitness News.
And Qatar has refuted a statement by the Trump administration that Washington notified officials in the Gulf country before Israel attacked Hamas negotiators in Doha. The strikes hit a residential area in the Qatari capital yesterday, killing 5 Hamas members and a Qatari security officer. Qatar, a close U.S. ally, has been a lead mediator in American-backed ceasefire talks aimed at ending the war in Gaza. Spokesperson for Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Majid Al-Ansari, says they received the call from an American official during the sound of the explosions and not before the attacks. Donald Trump now says he's not thrilled about the attacks, saying he has assured Qatar that it'll never happen again.
I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today. I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East.
Gold is trading at $3,638.23 an ounce. The rand is at 17.52 to the dollar, 23.72 to the pound, 20.52 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.91 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the Mike 1 North. This is between Boyson's Road and the Crown Interchange. There's also queuing traffic already on the N3 North approaching Van Buren Road. Please be on the lookout.
And in sport, Bafana remain in pole position to qualify for next year's World Cup after their draw with Nigeria. The Springbok coaching staff defends the decision to rest Eben Etzebeth for Saturday's test against New Zealand. And Proteas star Dewald Brevis fetches the highest ever bid at the SA20 auction.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, Johannesburg starting at 13 degrees, peaking at 27, Pretoria 15 and 28, Vereeniging 12 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, a family hostage situation in Pretoria has ended in tragedy after a police constable who held his family members captive for hours shot his teenage nephew before turning the gun on himself.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Seven minutes after 6 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast. My name is Bongani Bingwa. Fresh, get up, ready to go. I hope you're feeling the same way wherever you are listening to us from. Are you in Atteridgeville, Retabiseng, Wattville, Bronkhorstspruit, Zaanspruit? Are you in Melville? Or maybe you're just around the corner in Randburg or Illovo. It doesn't matter. Wherever you're listening to us from, welcome to the show. I'm not alone. I've got an entire team of colleagues with me. You just heard Sviso Zulu giving you the latest news updates. We have got the producers, Bapilile and Robfiwa, taking your calls. Mawande Mateza has everything you need to know in sport, including how rough that game got, eh? Bafana versus Nigeria. Nigerians had to win, and they didn't play nicely, I think. Mawande will be in for Cindy. Everything you need to know in the world of sport. And of course, KG starting the clock. But let me greet the fabulous Amohela Ngramela before I do anything else. Good morning, young lady.
Good morning. Good morning, Bongs. Morning, 702 Landers. I'm good.
Ready to go?
I'm ready to
Energized?
go. Energized. Yeah, I've had my cup of coffee. I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. Muteo Haripa, good morning.
Not the fabulous.
Not the fabulous.
Not your favorite child, am I? How are you, Bongs?
It's tough love for you. Tough love. Tigers don't cry.
Tigers don't cry.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
On our menu today, we are speaking to Maurice Carney, who's the Executive Director of Friends of the Congo. And you may have heard about the DRC every now and again. You'll see there's leaders from the DRC at the union buildings. Some kind of peace deal is being negotiated. It happened under Thabo Mbeki. It happened under Jacob Zuma. Cyril Ramaphosa has also tried to get involved. What's happening in the DRC? Why were our troops there in the first place? And since their withdrawal, where are things now? That's what we're focusing on in the Africa Report. So if that's one of those stories you've heard about, with a lot of focus, of course, on things in the Middle East, we're often told, actually, this is the conflict you need to know about, because as far as displacement and number of women and children killed, the numbers are far more frightening. So we're going to put a spotlight on it. And then, of course, hope for HIV prevention. The statistics are still horrifying. 8 million of us carry or live with HIV in South Africa. And if you're a female aged 15 to 24, you've got a higher chance of contracting the disease even in the year 2025. They're making headway with vaccines and medication and treatment that could prevent you from ever getting HIV. We'll speak to Fatima Hassan and Dr. Julia Turner about those two issues. Where is there still hope as far as HIV is concerned? And of course, it being a Wednesday, we have a corporate that cares. We're speaking to Dr. Richard Friedland, who is the CEO of Netcare.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
11 minutes after 6 o'clock now, this hostage situation in Tshwane, it's ended in a tragedy. It's an extraordinary story because what we understood was this police constable, he became a cop, I think, in 2019. He held his mother and his nephew hostage. And at some point, the police were able to negotiate for the mother to be allowed to leave. And obviously, a later point, the negotiations failed and they tried to storm the building. They tried to storm the room where this man was with a gun and his nephew. And presumably, as he heard them doing so, he turned the gun on himself and the nephew, both of them killed. It's a horror story. But I want you to listen to Major General Samuel Tine, who provided an update. This was where things were last night before the escalation that has subsequently happened.
What is happening, the latest is that the whole state negotiators, as well as the special task force, as well as the employee health relations, they are on the site still trying to negotiate and calm the constable down. So far, they are there on the site trying to calm him down and see if we can't resolve the situation.
Take us.
They couldn't resolve that situation and things escalated. And as I say, hours later, after many negotiations, the constable did release his mother, who was given medical attention at the scene. But the police found the constable and his 18-year-old nephew dead with gunshot wounds. It's an absolutely horror story happening in Pretoria.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
As always, of course, we've got a question to illustrate something we want to bring to your attention in the news cycle. And at 13 minutes after 6 o'clock, here's my question, Amo. Put yourself in a family gathering of sorts. Maybe it's a wedding, right? Maybe it is a celebration of some kind. It could even be a funeral, but your entire family and extended members, relatives are all there and everybody's cooperating to get this function underway. Do you know someone in your family, in your circle, perhaps even friends, who is the busybody, but nobody can quite tell you what it is they've done, right? So if you are, I don't know, preparing the vegetables and peeling all morning, you can see the progress you have made, right? Maybe, Muteo, you're involved in some other activity, I don't know, slaughtering the cow or something, right? Chopping the firewood, whatever it is. You can see the progress you've made. But Umugel is furu.
You know what?
During and in between.
What I usually call those people is they are timekeepers, because often they will come and check. Have you?
How far are you?
Yeah, the guests are coming. Get ready, or so giddy timekeepers. They do have a role.
Timekeepers, that's their role. Africa Milani was telling us earlier that he has a dearly departed aunt. And he says one of the signs, you've got to look for the person who's got a dishcloth over their shoulder, because it's got to look like they're doing something. Muteo?
And it's probably the cleanest dishcloth. Untouched.
Or it's a sweat cloth, actually.
Yeah,
because they sweat and they breathe heavily.
You do have those people that go and chill in their car and, and every now and then they'll come to the house and act like they've been busy. And don't forget the gas canister and,
Or the ones who go to town.
Yeah, and forever.
And they're gone for the whole day. And, they come back and you think.
And surprisingly, they have the keys to the important rooms or important storage.
Like, so they stall the progress because nobody can enter that room or open that cupboard because they've got the key. Let's have a little bit of fun with this one. We'll explain why we're asking that question. Do you have such a person in your life? Are you that person trying to avoid all of the hard labor at family gatherings by making yourself appear to be busy? Can you justify why? Have you got a story? Let us know. 072-702-1702 via voice note, and we'll take your calls as always on 011-883-0702.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
No doubt the other story we're going to pay some attention to, of course, is the strikes on Qatar by the Israeli military, who say they were targeting Hamas negotiators in Doha. And it's a particularly difficult one to understand because in the hours before the attack, it appeared as if Hamas was agreeing to this settlement with the Israelis. And so to target the people you've just negotiated with is a little difficult to understand, particularly, of course, because Qatar has remained neutral and in fact has tried to facilitate some kind of peace agreement for the release of the hostages and to ease the suffering of the Palestinians. So that's a story that is developing. The White House saying that they pre-warned the Qataris who have rubbished those claims and said whatever warning they received, the bombs were already underway when they were told by the Americans that the Israelis were going to do this. That's the international story we're keeping an eye on.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
17 after 6. Mateo Kharipa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning, what's the most you've ever had to pay for your rent during the years that you were renting? Did you ever share the rent with someone? Did you always make the rent?
Yeah, you had to. You had to in those days. I mean, you're taking me back now to my single early 20s. We're staying in a commune. No, it was a commune. You didn't have enough money to pay the rent yourself. We won. No. You always had to live in a commune of some kind. And there were always strict rules about not being allowed to bring people to said commune, which is the only way it can work.
How did you make sure everyone else made rent? Because you have to put the money together.
17 after 6.
7:02.
Weather.
What conditions can you expect on this Wednesday? Johannesburg temperature starting at 13 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 15 and 28. Vereeniging 12 and 27. So really then a partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Mbombela also peaks at 27. Bloemfontein 30. Gqeberha maxes at 22. East London 24. Durban partly cloudy, maxing at 28 degrees. Your high in Cape Town is 21.
EWN Traffic.
Right, this Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702 at 18 after 6. Amma, what are your maps telling you?
Well, we've got an accident, Bongani. It's reported on the M2 West. It's right near Boyson's Road. Delays coming out of Heidelberg Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the Mike 1 North, peak time delays already between Boyson's Road and Carr Street. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 North towards the Deep Kloof interchange. And then remember those roadworks that are taking place on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. They're bound to cause heavy delays this morning. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. And if you see anything else on the road, remember we are on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a couple stealing glances at each other. In a week, their lives will change forever as they exchange their I-do's. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a love story on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
When selling a car, there's nothing worse than a long, frustrating process. Now, We Buy Cars knows life's short and time is precious. So you can sell your car within a day from wherever you find it convenient. Simply complete the online form and We Buy Cars will make it happen. Need a new ride? Explore thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted vehicle partner.
When your internet connection fails, does it really matter how fast it is? Business class internet is built for businesses. With remote monitoring, that means faster problem resolution and a backup LTE connection that keeps you online. Your company deserves business class internet because just reboot the router isn't a business strategy. Find reliability at vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Further together. Vodacom Business.
Oh, yeah. Could I courier this pair of custom flame graffiti chucks? One of a kind, bruh.
Sure, fire. Where your guy, my guy?
My recipe book with all my secrets.
Those secrets are safe with us. Where your guy?
Can I send my beanbag chair? It's shaped like a fat cook.
Of course you can. Where your guy? With over 4,000 fast and flexible ways of couriering your parcel locally and internationally, whatever you need couriered, we're your guy. The Courier Guy. Visit thecourierguy.co.za.
Escape the ordinary at De Hoek Country Hotel, Magaliesburg. A haven of tranquility and a 5-star masterpiece. Unparalleled luxury and the perfect getaway just an hour from Joburg and Pretoria. Bring your team for an executive corporate breakaway. Plan an unforgettable wedding surrounded by breathtaking beauty. Indulge in exquisite fine dining and rejuvenate mind and body at our spa. Visit dehoek.com to discover your exclusive escape. De Hoek Country Hotel. Celebrate life where luxury meets serenity.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
A major move from Anglo and Teck, the two mining companies, agreeing to a merger they say on equal terms. They'll be based in Canada. They'll be one of the biggest mining companies in the world. They'll be focusing on copper, iron ore and zinc.
One of the major points that comes out from this is at asset level, there are contiguous assets in Chile that when put together make a very sizable operation with good synergies and with growth. And copper is the metal of the day. Everybody's after the growth.
David Mackay, editor at Mining MX.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, equipping you with efficient and secure cash management solutions for your business. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Hi, Bongos and the 702 landers. So, I was actually the busy one this past weekend at my uncle's funeral. I was so busy, I even had the key to the fridge. You know that mobile fridge? When you have the key to the mobile fridge, everyone pulls your hair from all angles. Offensive from the east.
Bongani and the team, good morning. You'd find them with the apron and the wig and the key on their hand. And the other hand has got a cloth. Then you know that, no, they've got nothing to do, but they're going to be everywhere. They're going to see everybody, but doing nothing.
I love it. Keep them coming on 0727021702. We're having a fun question. Do you know those aunties? And it's usually an aunties, but there are also a couple of uncles who cannot tell you what they've been doing over the 3 days as you prepare for a family gathering of sorts. Ofenza says he was that guy being pulled all over, so there's a reason why they don't get anything done, because everybody wants a piece of them at any point. Ofenza, I hear you. The last voice note saying you see them probably always scratching their wig. They've got a big apron, it's clean, and the dishcloth over their shoulder.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, why all of this? What does this have to do with the price of eggs or bread, as the case may be? Well, yesterday we told you the president would be answering questions in Parliament related to a number of issues. And one of the things he responded to, and it's a question we have asked on this show many a time, do we need deputy ministers? I think the Sowetans count this morning is that they cost the fiscus 94 million rand every year on their salaries alone. We're not talking their staff. We're not talking accommodation. We're not talking cars. We're not talking travel. We're not talking anything but their salaries. Close to 100 million rand a year. But do you know what they actually do? Here's the president's spirited defense of deputy ministers.
Since the advent of our democracy in 1994, deputy ministers have played an important role in assisting ministers in the performance of their functions and responsibilities. The Constitution provides for the appointment of deputy minister to assist the members of the executive. According to the Constitution, deputy ministers are accountable to Parliament for the exercise of their powers and the performance of their functions. Ministers and their respective deputy ministers agree on the delegation of responsibility in certain areas of work in terms of departmental's annual performance plans, ensuring that there is consistent political attention and oversight.
You have never needed them so much, he says. And at one point he argued, you know, there have even been deputy ministers who've gone on to be ministers, hey? Hey? Leadership pipeline here. There are deputy ministers who've gone on to graduate to the big time. Now, as you know, deputy ministers are not part of cabinet. So even when a minister is out of town or out of the country or out of action for whatever reason, their deputy may not act on their behalf. You have to find another member of cabinet to be the acting minister. Right? They're busy. They've got their blue lights. We see them, but what do they actually do? Is a question I would like to ask. Now, do you know that movie with that kid who says, I see dead people? Remember that one? What was it called again? It was a big monster hit in 1999. I see
Sixth
dead
Sense?
people. The Sixth Sense. Can I give you a new line, Mateo?
Uh-huh.
I steal from dead people.
Oh, wow.
South African lawyer Nonhle Nkomonde has been accused of stealing from dead people. She's been disbarred now over allegations of misappropriating more than 2 million rand from the estate of a deceased client to buy 8 properties. She bought them in Soweto, Orange Farm, and Orlando East. She faces 29 complaints related to estate mismanagement and illegal property deals. She's accused essentially of stealing from her clients who passed away from deceased estates. And she's now been disbarred, and all her accounts are going to be taken over by the Legal Practice Council. She is a lawyer operating out of Ekurhuleni. South Africans, no bounds. And hence the line, I steal from dead people. Israel has launched an airstrike into the Qatari capital Doha yesterday, targeting what it says were senior Hamas leaders. They are blaming for the 7th of October attacks. Explosions and smoke were seen in the West Bay Lagoon district near a petrol station, with Israeli media reporting that 15 fighter jets fired 10 munitions at a single site. And it now appears the people they were targeting were not killed. There have been a number of deaths, but obviously international condemnation growing around the world over this incident. We'll get more from Vicky Turner in The World View. We also told you about protests in Nepal. So essentially the Nepalese government banned all social media, and there have been protests in the street. 22 people have died, hundreds others injured. And now the Prime Minister has resigned. The wife of a former Prime Minister, Jala Nath Kanal, was killed when her home was torched. And the 4-time Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli, has resigned over this incident.
702.
The newspapers.
The newspapers with Sifiso Zulu. A very good morning to you, Sifiso.
Good morning, Bongani.
What's grabbing your attention?
Yeah, I'll begin with The Australian. This is one of the leading papers down under, and it's a story about the price of not saying sorry. This is a story about a former parliamentary employee who has been ordered by the courts to pay her former boss in a defamation case that's lasted for 4 years. And it all started when this employee's partner posted a screenshot on social media about his girlfriend's boss's intention to report her to an anti-corruption organization. So this whole story is about this employee who had accused her boss of failing to act when she reported that she was raped by a former colleague. And now the boss says the whole ordeal ruined her reputation because it made headlines. And she says that adequate support was provided to this employee, but not once did this employee say that she was not satisfied with the intervention that was offered and the help that was offered. And this whole thing has been playing out in court for almost 5 years. And only recently that the employee acknowledged that her boss was distressed by the social media post after she saw that the odds are against her and she could be liable and financially liable for not saying sorry and for putting her boss through this entire ordeal. And now her former boss has agreed that the matter should be settled before it went to trial, was supposed to go to trial. And she says the matter should be settled before it goes to trial. And the staffer has agreed to pay her, and she could possibly pay $1.5 million, then cover all the legal costs, all because she did not acknowledge that she was assisted.
Gosh, so she made it. Oh, that's an awful story, awful end. Front page of the Sowetan today, High Court agrees stay at home. This is, of course, the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibiya, who remains suspended. Remember, he tried to intervene to try to go back to work. The court says, no, you can stay. The Sowetan also running big with this story of this disbarred lawyer who was allegedly stealing from the estates of her dead clients, but also the president saying deputy ministers are indispensable. I'm asking you, do you agree at 94 million rand, a pop every year. That's what they cost in salaries alone. They're busy. They seem to be busy. But do we really need them? Those are the newspapers.
EWN Business.
Muteo's got business news. You are asking us the simple question about rent.
Yep, what's the most you've ever had to pay? And did you ever share a place? Did you always make rent? I'm asking the question because South Africa's rental market is experiencing signs of improvement despite a tight economy. The PayProp rental index shows only 17% of tenants miss rental payments, the lowest since the index started in 2011. Now, in comparison, in the first quarter of last year, the share of tenants in arrears jumped to 18.3%. According to Property 24, some 3.7 million households rent accommodation in South Africa, with 3 million of these renting formal housing. The percentage of households renting has been increasing, with a jump from 17% in 2020 to over 24% in recent years. Now, PayProp says rentals went up 5% year on year, up close to 500 compared to 2024. The average formal rent in the second quarter hit 9,218 Rand. In April, rental rates went up 5.2%. The Western Cape still leads in terms of the amount of rent you can pay, going up nearly 10% over the past year. It was up 2.3% in Gauteng, with rentals up 3.6% in KZN. The most popular rentals in South Africa are 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units, with the demand particularly high for these sizes in the 7,000 to 10,000 Rand monthly price range.
All right, if you're a landowner, if you're not a landowner,
Landlord.
a landlord. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Landlord. Still on holiday, man. If you're a landlord, I'd love to know your experience. Do let us know. Where's the rand?
17 Rand 51 against the US dollar, 20 Rand 51 cents against the euro, and a 23 Rand 67 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,640 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,382. Brent crude at $66.99 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to the news desk we go. Swisa Zulu, do you have an update on what police are saying around crime scenes?
That's right, Bongani. This following story actually contains disturbing details. The police are urging communities to refrain from tampering with crime scenes after Diepsloot residents destroyed a shack where a 3-year-old girl was found after being raped and assaulted. The child was in the care of her grandmother when a man known to her collected her on Sunday with 2 other children to buy them sweets. He later then returned with the 2 children and did not say where the 3-year-old toddler was. And the police spokesperson Brenda Moredili says the community members found the child in the shack lying in a pool of blood.
FCS followed the child to the hospital and then registered a case of rape and attempted murder. The team tracing the suspect comprises of, among others, members from K9, drone unit, as well as the crime intelligence.
Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says he's concerned that a working agreement between the SAPS, the Western Cape government and the City of Cape Town has yet to be implemented. The 3 spheres of government signed an agreement more than a year ago in response to the high crime rate in the province. The agreement is meant to enhance collaboration between SAPS, the provincial and municipal police to address crime concerns in the Western Cape. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
The key aspects of the cooperation agreement include sharing of intelligence, data and resources to tackle crime in the Western Cape. However, Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says it's worrying that many of the commitments have not been fulfilled.
I will raise those issues with the Premier when I meet him on Thursday, and we'll discuss this matter respectfully. Premier Winde is a man I've worked with in the past. I'm looking forward to the engagement, and I'm sure we'll find each other.
Kachalia says he'll do everything in his power to improve policing and reducing crime in the country. Dutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And finally, time is running out to catch the West Coast in full bloom. The annual wildflower season of the West Coast National Park is putting on a spectacular show, but it won't last much longer. Kayleen Morgan takes a look.
Every year from August into September, the Cape Floral Kingdom, home to over 9,000 plant species, many found nowhere else on Earth, erupts in dazzling blooms. West Coast National Parks management says this year's display is even more striking than last year's, thanks to less rain and summer conditions. But time is running out as the flowers are already starting to fade. West Coast Charlene Adams.
We've noticed now that the flowers are currently peaking and some of it is going down. So our peak season is between 15th August and 15th September. So around about next week we'll see the flowers going down. So the week after that it might not look the same.
Visitors are urged to make their way to the park soon to experience one of South Africa's most spectacular seasonal displays. Kayleen Morgan, Eyewitness News, West Coast National Park.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 27 and 28.
And in the traffic, we still have got that accident on the M2 West. It's right near Boyson's Road. Delays from Heidelberg Road. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road.
The top story this hour, Gauteng police are urging communities to refrain from tampering with crime scenes after Diepsloot residents destroyed a shack where a 3-year-old girl was found after being raped and assaulted.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
I'm Deirdre from Oakden. I've probably been listening to 702 for about 40 years. I listen most of the day, and I really can't imagine my life or my day without 702. I'm kept up to date with all the news, and I must say that I personally believe I hear the news before anybody else. When I hear it on 702, nobody else has heard it yet. And I'd just like to say, keep up the good work.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
The South African Local Government Association, SALGA, is hosting the International City, County and Municipal Managers Global Exchange Program. It's taking place in Johannesburg, now on until the 12th of September. The program brings together municipal leaders from across the world to share knowledge and practical solutions to common local government challenges.
So you thought you were building a business? In this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
When you start driving the new GWM P500, life will never be the same. Your voice will be more commanding. You'll ooze gravitas. You'll start hearing voices, but fear not. That's just adventure calling. The new P500 is effortlessly bold. Get it from only $8,599 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank, and authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is being hosted on African soil. A global summit of solidarity, equality, and sustainability with Africa at the center. So tune in this Friday between 6 and 9 a.m. for the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702. And it's brought to you by RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 summit. Get all the latest news, views, insights, and breakthroughs from the summit as it happens. The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, and authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongles and the team. Listen, Bongles, we don't need deputy ministers. We don't even need the deputy president. I don't know what he does, where, when, why. And I just want to know, Bongles, which uncle are you? Because you strike me like that one, like, walking around looking all neat and clean.
Bongos, those ones are the most hilarious ones. You will always see them updating somebody on Mugoshi. And every 10 minutes, they are standing with someone different. And they are whispering. Yeah. And when you pass, they keep quiet. And they start commenting on your overall. Your overall, it looks so nice. Overall, it doesn't look nice. Come on. What are you talking about? Yeah. Don't remind me of those ones. But you still love them, eh? You still love them.
So for me, it's my sister-in-law. She's very good at looking busy, but when you actually take notes and just ask her, what have you done? She has done absolutely nothing. She's the first one to have her apron on. She'll also have, the dishcloth on her shoulder. But if you were just to take stock and check what she's doing, absolutely nothing. But you will find her in every room, in the passages, outside, but she does absolutely nothing.
I love it. I love it. Keep them coming. And do you get the sense that it's very risky to approach them and to challenge them on the fact that they haven't done very much? If you've just joined us, it's 18 minutes to 7. We're talking, essentially, really, we're talking about deputy ministers and why we need them. The president has defended the reality of deputy ministers, especially, of course, after last year's election result. And he says, look, for me to be able to accommodate all these GNU parties, we had to create these roles. And so I'm afraid that's why we have a bloated cabinet. But then he goes on to justify it and says, well, some of these deputy ministers in the past, would you believe it, Mawande, they've even become ministers from time to time. So we do need deputy ministers. So as an entry point, we're talking about those uncles or aunties, those relatives who always are busy at family functions, but nobody quite knows what it is they've been up to. And you dare not ask.
EWN Sport.
I tell you what, Mawande Mateza in for Cindy Paluta. We spoke about this big game yesterday. For the Super Eagles, it was do or die. For Bafana, we still had a little bit of wiggle room. And for a while, it looked like we were actually going to win.
Yeah, I thought so too. Good morning, Bongani. The thing, it didn't work with Nigeria trying to bully and frustrate the South Africans, which normally works for them. But this isn't a great Nigerian side that we played against, and that is also why it's a little bit more disappointing. I mean, it's a draw. We come away with a point, and everything is still good in qualifying terms, but you just really want to beat Nigeria once in a while.
Just smash.
Yeah.
Just smash and
they were there for
destroy.
the taking.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, Bafana do remain in pole position to qualify for next year's World Cup following their 1-1 draw with Nigeria. EWN sports reporter Tolagele Mganga has more from last night's game.
For once, the maths is simple for Bafana. 3 points in their next 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier, and they'll participate in a first global showpiece event since hosting it back in 2010. This comes after they played out a 1-1 draw with Nigeria at the Free State Stadium, a game in which Mbegezeli Mbogazi and Sipho Mbule once again impressed. The point sees Bafana maintain their 6-point lead over their rivals, who will now have to wait and see if they're one of the 4 best second-place finishers who compete in the playoff. For Hugo Bruce, he can sit back and plot how to navigate their next qualifier against Zimbabwe in October, as he targets qualifying Bafana for a first World Cup since 2002.
What do you want? I want to win. I want to go to America next year.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport, Bloemfontein.
And in selected results from qualifiers around the world, Rwanda beat Zimbabwe 1-0, Benin outclassed Lesotho 4-0, and in Europe, Erling Haaland scored 5 goals as Norway thrashed Moldova 11-1 and England swept past Serbia 5-0. The Springbok coaching staff has defended the decision to rest Lock Eben Etzebeth for Saturday's test against New Zealand. The 137 test veteran doesn't feature in the matchday squad as the Boks aim to get their rugby championship title defence back on track with a win against the All Blacks. Springbok assistant coach Dwayne Vermeulen.
The thing is, you can't play even every single game. I think the guy is going to burn out. You still want him to play for a couple of years. So, those guys have played really important games. They played big matches. When we were a couple of locks down last year, Ruan got the opportunity and really did well.
Young Proteas star Dievel Brevis became the SA20's most expensive player ever at yesterday's auction. Brevis was snapped up by the Pretoria Capitals for 16.5 million rand after they won a bidding war between themselves, the Paul Royals, Joburg Super Kings and his former franchise, My Cape Town. The fourth edition of the SA20 will get underway on the 26th of December. And just a reminder for you that the Proteas will be in action today. They'll play England in the first of 3 T20s starting at 7:30 tonight. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Good morning, Uncle Bongani. My name is Zanda. I am 11 years old and I go to Dorothy's Primary School in Centurion. When I grow up, I'd like to be a doctor. It would be an honor to play the Whiz Quiz with you.
We can't wait to play with you too. It's been a while since we've given away 10,000 Rand. Amo, aren't you itching? Aren't you itching to give it away?
I am
10,000 smackaroonies? Will you be the one to win it?
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes before 7 o'clock. Amo, let's catch an update. That crash on the M2 West, is it a bad one?
It is indeed, Bongani. It's causing heavy delays towards the Crown interchange. Delays from Heidelberg Road while travelling on the Mark 1 north bumper-to-bumper traffic due to peak time pressure between Boysons and Car Street. And then if you're travelling within the inner city areas, Langlaagte, we've got some delays along Albertina Sisulu Road. This is just as you come out of the industrial area. Please try to avoid. And if you know exactly what's happening there, we're an X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When it comes to saving you money, OUTsurance puts their money where their mouth is. That's right. If OUTsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, you can ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash. You always get something out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Do you know what's hiding behind colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org by 30 September.
Every day, South Africans are being squeezed to make ends meet. That's why they're Still Good, a new online platform where you can save up to 65% on groceries by buying Still Good value bags. Packed with groceries by leading retailers that are still perfectly good, just close to their sell-by date. You win by saving, retailers win by cutting food waste, and communities win as Still Good donates 10% of their earnings to food charities. Visit stillgood.co.za. Start getting more bang for your buck with Still Good.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning, team. So, on your question, yes, I'm that person. I'm the person that you will see with the people who are chopping veggies. I'll peel one carrot, leave it, and then I'm helping the ones who are spicing the meat. Just a teaspoon of salt. Then I move on to something else. Yes, I am that person. And every time the event is concluded, I am beyond exhausted. Because when I look at my smartwatch or my, or my step counter, then the steps that I've done for that duration, oh my goodness, but yes, guilty as charged. This is Prudence from Soweto, traveling to Sandton.
Good morning, team. I'm not Velo. At home, that person is me. I'm that person who makes sure that everyone is doing everything except for me. I'll be running around, and whenever someone calls me, hey, what are you doing? I'll tell them, hey, this one man just called me to do something. Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be right back. I guys know why they're busy.
Shh, don't give away all our secrets. Now they're going to know. Sabiziwe, Satunyiwe. Shh, they'll know.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Give away some money now, shall we? Up next, a conversation about all things DRC. We're going to break down this conflict that has seen the most displacement of any around the world in recent memory. But before we do that, let's play with Zanda, who is 11 years old and wants to be a doctor later in life. Zanda, you know how it works. $100 for each correct answer. You get all 10 in 60 seconds. You win 10,000 Rand. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
KG, start the clock. Spell the word excited.
EXCITED.
Correct. True or false? Hollywood is in California.
True.
Correct. According to the saying, two wrongs don't make a what?
False.
Right. What do caterpillars turn into?
A chameleon.
Butterflies. What sport does Naomi Osaka play for Japan?
Cricket.
Tennis. What do you use to write on a blackboard?
Chalk.
Correct. Denmark is the northern neighbor of which large European country?
Pass.
Germany. How many pairs of wings do bees have?
2.
Correct. Which country is home to the kangaroo?
Pass.
Australia. How many in maths? How many years are there in a century?
2.
100. 100 would have been the correct answer. A bit of a rough one there for you, Xander. You walk away with 4 correct answers. 4 correct answers. Yeah, a bit of a rough one there for you. Do practice. Try and answer when others perhaps are competing to see if you can get to the questions. But if you think you could do well, simply send us a voice note on 072 702 1702. Tell us your name and age and why you want to play the Whiz Quiz.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Now, for more money in the next hour, we'll play What's the Question, which is brought to you by Outsurance. Their 3,000 Rand in total is up for grabs. Firstly, 1,000 Rand if you send us an answer based on anything you heard in the show. You WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone will ask a question to get your answer and they will win 2,000 Rand. You can SMS out to 45142 now to save on your car insurance.
702.
The Africa Report.
It is a Wednesday, 7 minutes to 7. And today we are focusing on all things DRC. It's a conflict that has seen the most human displacement of any conflict in recent memory. And it's one that has been in play for a number of years, and it keeps escalating, and it's got all kinds of complicated layers. To help us understand where things are and where they might go, we've invited Maurice Carney, who is the Executive Director of Friends of the Congo, who joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So let's just get a bit of background in terms of the origins of this conflict. Where did things go wrong in the DRC?
Well, the Congolese people have been victims of a 30-year war of aggression and plunder led by its neighbors, Rwanda, led by Paul Kagame, and Uganda by Yoweri Museveni. They invaded Congo in 1996. And then they invaded again in 1998. And thanks to the Southern African Development Community, led by Zimbabwe and Angola and Namibia, they came to the side of the Congolese in 98 to push back Rwanda and Uganda, which resulted in a peace accord in 2002. However, since that time, both Rwanda and Uganda have supported militia groups in the Congo for right up until today, in an effort to control the resources that are there, to control the trade routes, basically to exercise, expand their sphere of influence in the face of a weak Kinshasa government. So that's really at the crux of the conflict itself, but that conflict is imposed on a colonial system, the colonial legacy of the Congo, which has weakened its institutions. And these two neighboring countries with the backing of the West have ravaged the Congo as they extract coltan and tin and a host of gold and timber, host of other minerals and resources.
I've said to you, or at least in my introduction, that the estimation is that this conflict has displaced more people than any other. I think the UN estimates upwards of 7-8 million people.
Yes, in recent times. However, it has the unfortunate moniker of being the deadliest conflict in the world since World War II, where an estimated 6 million Congolese have perished since 1996. Half of those children are under the age of 5. So it has been a long 30-year war of aggression and plunder against the Congolese people. However, there are solutions on the table. This war would not have occurred, it would not take place the way it has without the support of the United States, the Great Britain, European Union, France, of Congo's neighbors, primarily Rwanda and Paul Kagame. Because Paul Kagame and the Rwandan government do the bidding of the West, for example, they farm out their soldiers in Mozambique and Cabo Delgado to protect French or Total Energies oil interests or natural gas interests. You have France supporting Rwanda because Rwanda secures illicit minerals or secure minerals illicitly from the east of Congo. The European Union entered into a critical minerals deal with Rwanda for minerals that it doesn't have in its own country. So Rwanda is supported and rewarded for its transgressions in the Congo. Even in the face of global outcry, for example, Rwanda and its M23 militia today occupy the east of the Congo. They captured the 2 largest cities, Goma, a city of 2 million in the North Kivu province, and Bukavu, a city of 1 million in the South Kivu province. And the United Nations, in a unanimous 15-0 vote at the Security Council, said Rwanda should immediately withdraw from the Congo without any preconditions. But yet we see Rwanda still and its soldiers being in the Congo today.
If you can summarize the internal dynamics of the DRC, because we're now seeing the former president, Joseph Kabila, facing treason charges in front of a military court. What's the background to that and how is it playing out?
The internal dynamics is a problem as well, because the local elites represented by the likes of Joseph Kabila, President Tshisekedi himself, and the former president of the National Electoral Commission, Konai Nangaa, who heads up the Congo River Alliance and affiliate group of the M23. They fell out. The 3 men orchestrated the ascension to power of Tshisekedi himself in 2018. Kabila was a president, and he was on his way out. And at the 2018 elections, Tshisekedi didn't win the vote. However, Kabila and Konai Nangaa saw him as a pliable option where Kabila can continue to exercise his influence over the country. So they appointed him to the presidency. The one who won the elections, Martin Fayulu, was discarded, set aside. And this agreement, this act on the part of Kabila was supported by the neighboring countries and the international community. And today we see the 3 men have fallen out, where Kabila, Konai Nangaa, is on the side of the M23 in the east of the country, and Tshisekedi remains as a president. So there is also internal dynamics at play.
Gosh, and it doesn't appear there is anywhere near an end in sight. Maurice Carney, appreciate your time, the Executive Director of the Friends of the Congo there, explaining this 3 decades-long conflict that has displaced millions and killed millions more.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
The big interview focuses on developments in the treatment and management of HIV/AIDS, some breakthroughs we think you need to know about. We'll also give you an update on that horror hostage situation overnight. All of that to come after this Eyewitness News, brought to you by Khalix. Khalix, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
A 16-hour hostage ordeal is believed to be triggered by a family dispute, and the Human Rights Commission calls on the country's top cop to deal with Operation Dudula. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. A family secret around the paternity of a child is allegedly at the center of a deadly hostage situation in Pretoria. 32-year-old police constable Thapelo Mashego held his mother and nephew hostage for 16 hours yesterday in their home in Mamelodi. He later released his mother to police negotiators, but he shot his 18-year-old nephew and then turned the gun on himself. Khomotso Modise has the story.
Thapelo Mashego's uncle, Stephen Phela, says he received a call yesterday morning from Mashego's older brother informing him that the constable is holding his mother and nephew hostage. Phela says he called his nephew to find out what was going on.
I don't know if it was a secret or something, but he said he found out that the child he has with his girlfriend is not his, but is his brother's.
The 32-year-old constable also claimed his mother, who he'd held hostage for 16 hours yesterday, knew about the affair that his brother was having with his girlfriend and the true paternity of the child, but chose to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola has urged all police officers to make use of in-house employee health and wellness services. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in Mamelodi.
The South African Human Rights Commission has approached National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola to ensure Operation Dudula is prevented from blocking foreign nationals from accessing healthcare services. The group has recently made headlines for monitoring the entrances at clinics and hospitals, checking whether patients are South African citizens. Yesterday, the Commission released reports highlighting some of the most frequently reported human rights violations from the past financial year. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Operation Dudula claims that public healthcare facilities have become overcrowded due to the influx of foreign nationals, regardless of their legal status in the country. The group argues that other African nations wouldn't grant South Africans the same free access to public healthcare and that treatment should be reciprocal. However, Tshepo Mahlingozi, a commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission, says that Operation Dudula is directly obstructing human rights.
We were very clear that it's unlawful for any citizen to try to enforce immigration laws. No one is allowed to play the role that is supposed to be played by Home Affairs.
Government has been criticized by some civil society organizations for what they describe as turning a blind eye to Operation Dudula's alleged xenophobic activities. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The pressure is on for the Government of National Unity to hit its economic growth target of 3% in the medium term after GDP increased in the second quarter. The economy surpassed growth expectations in the 3 months through June, ticking up by 0.8%. Nokayam Dambo reports.
While the economy has seen 3 positive quarters since the end of last year, it remains sluggish. GDP growth is still expected to be only 1% for 2025 as a whole, raising concerns that the country is lagging behind and won't be able to create jobs at the current rate. While government has stood by its ambitious 3% growth target in the medium term, Northwest University Business School economist Raymond Parsons says there are still potential vulnerabilities in the present economic outlook. This includes the negative performance of fixed capital formation. Action SA has called on government to confront its own industrial policy failures to address inefficiencies in key sectors. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And President Cyril Ramaphosa says he will announce an ambassador to the United States very soon. Several political parties, both in and out of the Government of National Unity, have criticized the lack of replacement for former Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, who was declared persona non grata in March following remarks he made about the Trump administration. Answering questions in Parliament yesterday about relations with the US in light of its imposition of a 30% trade tariff, Ramaphosa said the country's next ambassador will be well versed about the US market. Lindsay Tentlinker reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says government has opted to negotiate better trade deals with the United States rather than choose the aggressive approach of reciprocating with a higher tariff for its second largest trading partner.
We go to the United States negotiating table with a strong hand. We don't go with a weak hand. And our endowments is exactly what we take to the table.
He says South Africa's next ambassador to the US will be capable and experienced.
We will be appointing a well-versed and a well-rounded person who has the necessary skills.
Ramaphosa has hinted that even parliamentarians want to be considered for the job.
Madam Speaker, I must tell you that there have been a lot of applications, and some of them have come from this House.
5 months since the nomination, Brent Bozell is yet to be confirmed by a US Senate committee as the country's next ambassador to South Africa. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Gold is trading at $3,638.23 an ounce. The rand is at 17.51 to the dollar, 23.70 to the pound, 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.97 a barrel.
Traffic is heavily backed up on the M1 North between Boysons Road and Car Street. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South between the Brockfontein Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. That's if you're heading towards Midrand and traveling in the city of Tshwane. Delays on the N1 South approaching the Flying Saucer Interchange.
And in sport, Bafana are held to a draw in their World Cup qualifier after a controversial equaliser for Nigeria. Nottingham Forest appoint Ange Postecoglou as their new manager, and the Proteas ramp up their preparations for the T20 World Cup in 6 months' time.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 13 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria, 15 and 28. Vereeniging, 12 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. A family secret around the paternity of a child is allegedly at the center of a deadly hostage situation in Pretoria.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Decisions. Every day you make them, from the best strategy to win the case, to new business presentations, to keeping shareholders happy. If only decisions were as easy as choosing to visit Khaliq's. Khaliq's offer the latest summer styles for business wear, guaranteed to keep you cool, free tailoring, the best value for money, and incredible bend-over-backwards service. That's Khaliq's. So when you next decide to make a winning call, decide on a visit to Khaliq's. Khaliq's, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 after 7, it's a busy world. One of the big stories, of course, developing yesterday was the strikes by the Israeli military on Doha, the Qatari capital, where really there was a sense of disbelief because, of course, that was where key negotiations between Israel and Hamas were being brokered. I want you to listen now to a report by Sky News correspondent Sally Lockwood, reporting from Doha yesterday in the aftermath of those attacks.
It does feel like there's a sense of disbelief here in Qatar at what's happened today, and a sense that the diplomatic efforts that were being held here between Israel and Hamas really have been blown apart by this extraordinary act by Israel, an attempt to target Hamas leadership in a country with which they have relations, a neutral country, a country that is hosting these critical ceasefire talks between both sides. And certainly the response from Qatar has been very strong indeed, referring to this as a treacherous act and a criminal act. It's hard to see how this won't do damage to US-Israel Qatari relations. Qatar's foreign policy is focused on no conflict, de-escalation, and a lack of military intervention. Well, this really does blow all that apart today. And I think the comments that were most striking was that from Caroline Levitt, the press secretary to Donald Trump, who said that Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's envoy, got straight on the phone as soon as they'd been made aware of this by the US military to alert Qatar.
Qatar, of course, has rubbished those claims, and they say they only heard about the attack, the attack wasn't imminent. It was already unfolding is when they heard about it, essentially. In another international story that we told you about just yesterday, remember there was a ban on social media platforms like X, Instagram, YouTube in Nepal. Following that, there were protests as particularly young people took to the streets, 19 killed, dozens more injured. In the aftermath of that, the Nepalese Prime Minister has since resigned. Now I want you to listen to the BBC's Panindra Dahal reporting about what was happening in Nepal around those protests.
This is not an ordinary political protest. Thousands of young people identifying themselves as Gen Z are protesting in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu.
Every corruption in the country, from the local level to federal level, all the Nepalese citizens are fed up of corruption.
This protest was sparked from an online trend that erupted via TikTok after Nepali authorities banned 26 social media platforms for failing to register at Nepal's Ministry of Information and Communication Technology. Nepali government is arguing that they are not banning the social media but trying to bring them under the purview of law.
That's what governments say when they do that kind of thing, don't they? Also, what you need to know today is it is World Suicide Prevention Day, and it's a reminder of the global impact of suicide around the world. The IEC is holding by-elections in 4 provinces, letting residents choose new ward councillors. Meanwhile, Poland has shot down drones entering its airspace amid the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And can you believe it? It was 1990 that Vanilla Ice released To the Extreme, his album featuring hits like Ice Ice Baby, which topped the charts for an incredible 16 weeks.
702. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN Traffic.
12 after 7, this Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702.
Well, Bongani, we've got some delays along Albertina Sisulu Road. This is in the Coronationville area, all the way towards Mayfair West. So if you are traveling through Albertina Sisulu Road this morning, do expect about a 15-minute hold-up. And then in the city of Tshwane, delays on the N1 South. This is towards the Flying Saucer interchange. And there's also queuing traffic on the N4 West approaching the Proof Plus interchange. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
20 years ago, you were driving with a moving truck to your new home, and 20 years ago, the Outsurance pointsmen were on the roads, easing traffic congestion. So whether you're an Outsurance client or not, we've all been getting something out. Outsurance, show them some love this morning and celebrate the 20th anniversary from Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Paarl to Stellenbosch. Let's celebrate using the hashtag pointsmanlove. Outsurance in partnership with 702, a licensed insurer and FSP.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, the story developing overnight, of course, was this hostage drama, a family dispute that has led to the tragic deaths of 2 people. So a 32-year-old police constable, Thapelo Mashego, held his mother and nephew hostage for 16 hours yesterday in their Mamelodi home. This is east of Pretoria. He released his mom, but as negotiators tried to storm the house, we understand he turned the gun on himself and his 18-year-old nephew, both of whom died. Khumutsa Modise is our EWN reporter who was at the scene. Khumutsa, very good morning to you. You've hardly slept a wink, so I really appreciate your time. At the center of the saga you have now discovered was a family secret.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. Yes, we spoke to the uncle yesterday, Katleho, Stephen Pela rather, who is the uncle to Constable Mashego, and he told us yesterday that he tried to call the constable when he found out what was going on in the house. It seems the constable's older brother called the uncle to say, "This is what's going on. We're hearing about a hostage situation in the house, and we know that Thapelo is at the center of it." Pela then says he called him, wanting to negotiate with him, wanting to convince him not to cause a scene, and he tried to tell him that, you're going to be losing your job if you continue this way. So before things get out of hand, please just surrender and let's talk about this as a family. And he says that's when Thapelo Mashego then told him that at the center of it all is the paternity of his 4-year-old child. it seems, Bongani, that he had been raising the child with the understanding and with the belief that that was his own child that he had with his girlfriend. However, he learned that the paternity of the child or the father of the child was actually his older brother who was having an affair with his girlfriend. And I think, we've all been asking ourselves, why would he hold his mother hostage in a situation like this? Well, in a voice note that we've heard from the family, he then details that the mother knew about the paternity of the child, she knew about the affair, and she chose to keep quiet.
Goodness me. And so the nephew who died, was it the child of the older brother?
No, it doesn't seem so. It seems the nephew is the sister's child who happened to be in the house. And we're hearing a lot about the passing of the nephew. You know, Bongani, this had been playing out from 8 a.m. yesterday. And there had been two gunshots that were heard around mid-morning yesterday in that Mamelodi area. And police believe that's when the nephew was actually shot. So it was much earlier in the day. We've heard from some people who claim that the nephew may have been trying to protect the mother, and that's when he got shot. But police believe he was shot a lot earlier, and then only later in the evening, around 16 hours later, did Tapelo then turn the gun on himself.
Goodness me. Thank you for that update. Homoto Medisa, our EWN reporter. It's a horrible story, a family secret at the center of it. As you've heard there, she is suggesting that this 32-year-old constable, Tapelo Mashigo, believed his older brother had had an affair with his girlfriend, and the family knew about it and kept it a secret. And that was at the center of that hostage drama yesterday. It's a really, really unbelievable story.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
17 minutes after 7 o'clock. On to this now. The statistics are still shocking. The number of people living with HIV in South Africa has now surpassed 8 million. And there are fewer people dying from the disease than are being infected. In fact, if you're a female aged 15 to 24, you are still the most likely to contract HIV. But there are new developments in the treatment and care of HIV. And we've invited Fatima Hassan, who's a human rights lawyer, but also the founder of the non-profit Health Justice Initiative, to join us on the line. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me on the show.
It's all these years later with so many interventions. More broadly, the picture of who lives with HIV in South Africa doesn't seem to be changing very, very much.
No, it isn't. And I think, the concern is that amongst vulnerable groups and amongst key populations, we do have a rise in infections. And we also have a growing population of people living with HIV because of the introduction of ARVs, so people live longer. But I think the concern is, as you've mentioned, that there are now tools to try and prevent infections, particularly amongst women and young girls, and as well as amongst key populations. But those tools are now being rationed and are not generally and widely available. And the tool that I'm talking about is both an oral form or an injection form of an HIV prevention technology that could literally save millions and millions of people's lives going forward. But unfortunately, it almost feels like we're back in the late 1990s, right, where we're begging for supplies and we're begging for price affordability and we're begging for transparency.
I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking, actually, the way that you've just explained it, like we're back in the 90s. Specifically, of course, one of the tools you are referring to, and I might say it incorrectly, lenacapavir, am I correct? Is that how we say that?
Exactly.
Lenacapavir. Explain what that is and why it could significantly reduce new infections.
So according to some fantastic research and according to, data that has come out from clinical trials that were also conducted in South Africa, and South African researchers in the HIV field played a significant role in advancing this technology. It's a twice-a-year injection that has shown great efficacy in preventing HIV infection, particularly amongst young women, amongst young girls, and also amongst sex workers, men who have sex with men, or what we call key populations and vulnerable groups. So significant innovation, significant technology. Unfortunately, it's coinciding with the time of what's called the U.S. or Trump administration funding cuts in the field of health, in the field of HIV and AIDS. And so all the plans that were put in place before the cuts to try and roll out lenacapavir, or we call it lenacapavir long-acting injection, to millions of people around the world are now at risk because of the funding cuts, and because unfortunately we believe that the company that is making lenacapavir is more interested in profiteering and in not ensuring equitable access for all of the people, particularly in the global south. And I think the stark irony here is that while South Africa may be eligible for a few 100,000 doses in the next year, many countries that participated in these clinical trials in other parts of the global south are excluded from such deals, and I'm putting deals in inverted commas. So, I mean, bottom line is that South Africa, through what's called the Global Fund, because of the U.S. funding cuts and sort of the decimation of PEPFAR, through the Global Fund, South Africa is now basically getting an allocation of a few 100,000 doses, which are now being prioritized for women and girls and some vulnerable groups and populations that I mentioned earlier. But that's hardly enough to make a dent into what's a really serious crisis and what's a really serious need for our country.
What does this do to clinical trials, the idea that pharmaceuticals can come to a country in the global south, test out their medications and their treatments, and when they're certain of efficacy can simply walk away, and those people who may have participated in the hopes of getting benefit from that are no longer included? What does that do to the willingness of people to participate?
So that's, I think the million-dollar question, and it's an issue that has arisen over time, and it came into sharp focus in the COVID crisis, when we also participated in clinical trials and we were last in line for equitable and affordable access to the vaccines. And so I think this particular situation with lenacapavir and the situation of Gilead is really jarring. Because it's not just South Africa, it's like I've mentioned many other countries in the global south, but Gilead then decided, or is now deciding, to choose which countries are included in what it's called its licensing deal, which countries would get early access to lenacapavir, because obviously it depends on Gilead registering its product with different medicine regulators around the world, and which countries it will offer what's called tiered pricing or beneficial pricing. So this is an issue that we've raised with our own government, with international institutions around the ethical as well as the legal. And I think that the moral obligations of a company that decides to do a clinical trial but then doesn't prioritize the population in that particular country where it's tested its product. And this is true for lenacapavir, it's true for TB drugs, it's true for, cancer drugs. It's a situation that's quite worrying, and I think it's a concern that's growing. Yeah. And really what you have to do is you have to regulate it. You have to legislate. So we currently in our country have a number of companies that will do clinical trials on our people, will innovate in a really material way, will take advantage of our excellent research in country, but then often will not even register its product and not make it available, and worse, will not allow others to make a generic version of the product. So it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to be the only supplier of a particular product, but if you have no intention of making a product available to the public and private sector in South Africa and then denying others to bring a generic version, I think that, in my view, is actually, should border on criminal conduct.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it is immoral, is it not? Tell me, can some of these pharmaceuticals get away with the argument that political events have overtaken them, that they are not essentially in control of how these things then unfold?
I mean, I think they could argue that, but we would counter that by saying that they are totally in control. Their monopoly power gives them the ability to make these decisions, and we're seeing that playing out with Gilead. The only thing that has changed in relation to the rollout of lenacapavir is that instead of PEPFAR basically rolling out the supply and delivery of lenacapavir throughout the world, they've had to strike a deal with the Global Fund. And here, when I say that Gilead is still in control and is exercising excessive control and a lot of price secrecy, is they've demanded that the Global Fund does not disclose the price that they're going to be paying. And through that, they are indirectly forcing governments like South Africa and other governments in the Global South to not disclose the price that they will be paying, which basically, in our view, we would argue flouts our constitution, because we have a system of price transparency, and we saw that in COVID as well. So Gilead is firmly in control. Gilead is deciding who gets what, how many supplies, and at what price. And really, we believe, and we've argued in our editorial yesterday in Spotlight, that they're bullying the Global Fund and they're bullying the government of South Africa by insisting on price secrecy. So, I think the irony is that pharmaceutical corporations like Gilead will shout, loud about the rule of law and the rule of law and order, but when it comes to their own conduct, they would try and defend their price secrecy and their non-disclosure agreements, and that really is a concern.
There is a bomb in Gilead, just not for everyone, essentially. We've seen, of course, a number of healthcare workers, in fact, thousands really, losing their jobs as a result of the PEPFAR withdrawal. We've had arguments from the health minister and officials to say that our public system can do enough to fill in those gaps. But of course, it is quite obvious now, months into it, that there are many things that are just simply falling through the cracks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had about 40 projects closing down in the last few months that provided specialized services to vulnerable groups and to other key populations. And I think that's having a dramatic and quite worrying impact on our entire health system. We're already seeing some of the data coming out from Gauteng, which shows that there's been a decline in the number of people even going to get tested for HIV. We are seeing a drop in the number of patients that are being initiated on ARVs, and so that is a concern. And unfortunately, we've been spending the last few months in a very antagonistic sort of conversation with the Department of Health, because we're saying, what is the plan? The financial resources are not sufficient despite the Treasury's allocation of a small emergency grant. And unfortunately, we have a department that really is on the defensive and is refusing to make that plan available. So it's one thing to say, we have targets. We are going to initiate 500,000 people on lenacapavir, 1.2 million people on oral prevention tablets. But it's quite another thing to actually do that, to initiate new people on treatment, to initiate HIV prevention tools. And we're not seeing that playing out. And worse, we have people who are being turned away from clinics for a number of reasons, including for administrative, logistical reasons. And so the situation is not looking great. The chairperson of the TAC yesterday at the opening of the South African AIDS conference warned that we have a crisis on our hands and that all the gains of the last 25 years could be undone because we don't have a robust plan and we don't have sufficient funding to fill the gap of the U.S. funding cuts.
It's an extraordinary development. As you say, 25 years later, we could be reversing all those gains. Appreciate your time. Fatima Hassan is a human rights lawyer and the founder of the Health Justice Initiative.
EWN Business.
This business report is proudly sponsored by GIC. Through infrastructure-related projects, GIC sets a better standard of living. GIC changing lives. Muteo Kharipe joining us now. Muteo, South Africa's growth improving, a 2-year high. Some sectors still behind.
Yeah, South Africa's GDP grew at the fastest pace in 2 years. In the second quarter, the country's growth was boosted by stronger mining and manufacturing sectors. Gross domestic product grew by 0.8% in the 3 months through to June, still below 1%, but it was better compared with the growth of 0.1% in the previous quarter. Now, Stats SA says on the production side of the economy, 8 of the 10 sectors expanded in the quarter, led by manufacturing, mining and trade, while transport and construction came in lower. Now, SA consumers also helped boost growth. The expenditure side of the economy was stronger as household consumption increased for a 5th straight quarter. Now, despite the positive number, there's still a concern that the growth is just not strong enough for job creation. Investor sentiment remained weak, with gross fixed capital formation falling for a 3rd straight quarter. Now, gross fixed capital formation signifies investments that boost productivity, create jobs and improve living standards in the country. SA's growth momentum is expected to face challenges in the coming months due to higher US tariffs.
Now, Walmart owns Massmart, do they not?
Yes.
But now they're coming as themselves.
They're coming as themselves. They've had a good look at the market. They run macro and game, and they say they're ready to take on the likes of ShopRite.
Because there was a huge gedunta when they first arrived in the guise of Massmart, but now Walmart is coming to South Africa.
Well, let's see if they can take ShopRite's lunch. Walmart is set to open its first branded stores in South Africa this year. The world's biggest retailer has announced that it will be opening the first branded stores in South Africa. Of course, you will know that they are a giant across the world with 10,750 stores with a total revenue of 11.9 trillion rand. The group said that they plan to have a lot of local products for South African consumers, recruiting small and medium-sized Africa-based suppliers.
Well, they better get those South Africa-based suppliers. 19 countries, over 10,000 stores. That's incredible. Where's the rand?
17 Rand 49 against the US dollar, strengthening after that positive growth number. 20 Rand 49 cents against the euro and at 23 Rand 67 cents against the British pound. The price of gold at $3,643 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,381. Brent crude at $67.10 a barrel. Have more business for you after 8.
Change requires skill, an agile body to fill the gaps. But real change moves collaboratively, progressively, enabling, because it knows what to do and how to improve the lives of the deserving. Through infrastructure-related projects, GIC actively brings change for the better, because real change sets a standard of living, of being. GIC, changing lives.
Mr. Zulu is at the Eyewitness News desk. Now, we know our president for being shocked, but Sfisa Zulu, he's got a new emotion these days.
That's right. He's deeply disappointed by Parliament for the delays in setting up the Gender-Based Violence Council, and he's gone as far as to suggest that MPs have been derelict in their duty. Almost a year since the act was signed, Ramaphosa says if it were up to him, the council would already be up and running. Ramaphosa says concerns over the budget for the council can only be sorted out once appointments have been made. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Parliament's Committee on Women and Youth, which is responsible for setting up the Gender-Based Violence Council, has for several months expressed concern about the lack of a budget and that civil society representatives might not be compensated. But answering questions in the National Assembly yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa assured the House that the National Treasury will come to the table.
My wish would have been I should set it up because we would have moved on. But because you are averse to having a dictator, which is a good thing, you have delayed in setting up this council.
Despite attempts by some MPs to pin the blame on him, Ramaphosa said the criticism was misdirected.
So much as I am to blame for many things, for everything that happens in the country, this is one area, my dear honorable sister, I am not to blame for.
Ramaphosa says he expects the body to be set up by April next year. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Meanwhile, Gauteng police are urging communities to refrain from tampering with crime scenes after Diepsloot residents destroyed a shack where a 3-year-old girl was found after being raped and assaulted. The child was in the care of her grandmother when a man known to her collected her on Sunday with 2 other children to buy them sweets. He later returned with the 2 children and did not say where the 3-year-old toddler was. Police spokesperson Brenda Moridili says the community members found the child in the shack lying in a pool of blood.
FCS followed the child to the hospital and then registered a case of rape and attempted murder. The team tracing the suspect comprises of, among others, members from K9, drone unit, as well as the crime intelligence.
Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says he's concerned that a working agreement between the SAPS, the Western Cape government and the City of Cape Town has yet to be implemented. The 3 spheres of government signed an agreement more than a year ago in response to the high crime rate in the Western Cape. The agreement is meant to enhance collaboration between SAPS, the provincial and municipal police to deal with crime concerns in the Western Cape. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
The key aspects of the cooperation agreement include sharing of intelligence, data and resources to tackle crime in the Western Cape. However, Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says it's worrying that many of the commitments have not been fulfilled.
I will raise those issues with the Premier when I meet him on Thursday, and we'll discuss this matter respectfully. Premier Winde is a man I've worked with in the past. I'm looking forward to the engagement and I'm sure we'll find each other.
Kachalia says he'll do everything in his power to improve policing and reducing crime in the country. Dutuzela Nene, Eyewitness News.
And 2 judges in Brazilian former President Jair Bolsonaro's coup trial have voted to convict him, with 3 other judges yet to give their verdicts. The 70-year-old Bolsonaro risks a prison term of more than 40 years if found guilty of seeking to stay in power after his defeat in 2022 elections to Lula da Silva. Supreme Court Justice Alexandra de Moraes says he was the first to cast his vote in proceedings that could last until Friday, and he says that Brazil nearly returned to a dictatorship after 40 years of democracy. He says the evidence showed the accused were part of a criminal organization led by Bolsonaro and committed all the criminal offenses charged by the Attorney General. The former head of state, who claims he is the victim of political persecution, is in the dock on 5 charges with 7 co-defendants, including former ministers and generals. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 15 degrees, peaking at highs between 27 and 28.
And in the traffic, we've got roadworks taking place on the N1 South heading towards Linwood, and they are causing delays. Please be on the lookout there while travelling on the R24 as well as the N12 West, bumper-to-bumper traffic between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's deeply disappointed by Parliament for the delays in setting up the Gender-Based Violence Council.
Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance. Pineapple. Insurance. Pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisid, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hi, Bongani. I am one of those that do not like doing a lot of chores at family gatherings. So especially like if it's in the rural areas, whether it's a family function or a funeral. So what I do, I always look out for those people with the babies, and then I offer to carry their babies for them so that they can go and do the work. Yeah, just go to the baby. Hello, baby. How are you, baby? Baby. I start playing with the baby. I end up carrying the baby, and then I'm sitting because I'm looking after the baby. Or I look for the slightly older ones, maybe 1 year, 2 year, and just find one who is crying. Just find one who is crying, and then start playing with that kid. And then if they ask me what I'm doing, pan to the sultana. Yakala, shame, come baby. Somebody sitting on my sweetie. Yeah, that's me.
Hey, Bongani, how are you with your team? You guys, you don't seem to understand. Those people that appear to you as if they are doing nothing, they are the ones. They are the maestros of making everything work. The minute they stop moving about with the towel and everything, you will see the work that they are doing. That's when you see the work that they are doing. They are the ones that keep everybody on their toes. Testing that the meat is right there, the beers are cold there, the people are seated there, the tables are ready there, the gate is working okay so that people, the dogs have been closed. Nobody actually does all that work. It's them.
And it's clearly
them.
And it's clearly very important work. Amoramila called them the timekeepers. It sounds like they're also the supervisors, right? Yes. The conductors of this little orchestra. We were talking about deputy ministers, the president in a spirited defense yesterday saying we need them. He spoke about the realities of the GNU and having to accommodate a number of parties, and that's why he's got this bloated executive. But also he made the point that actually the deputy ministers serve an important purpose in terms of the division of labor as far as various departments go. Never mind that we've got directors general, deputy directors general, deputy directors general. We've got all those officials also as part of that division of labor. So I was asking the question, do we really need these deputy ministers? And what's your impression of what they actually do? And as an entry into that conversation, we said, are you that uncle or auntie who finds a lot to do without doing very much at family gatherings? And it seems there are quite a few people who've become expert. They've actually thought about how it is they're going to get away with any proper responsibility at family gatherings. Keep those voice notes coming. They're really entertaining this morning.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. Your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. So first 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. Today's answer comes from Leonard. Leonard, what is today's answer?
Today's answer is 1990, Bongani.
1990. Oh, I remember that year so well, Leonard. It's the year I turned 15 years old. And tell me, Leonard, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, sir.
You biscuit. You've won yourself 1,000 Rand, all thanks to 702 and Outsurance. How old were you in 1990, Leonard? Were you even born?
Yes, I was born, sir. I was 19 years old.
19 years old. Oh, all right. For your troubles then, as I say, 1,000 Rand is coming your way. All right, Leonard's answer is 1990. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
16 to 8. This EWN Sport brought to you by RMB Corporate Banking. Ready, set, cash flow. Mawanda Mateza is in the house. Mawanda, let's go straight to that game last night. Bafana Bafana against the Super Eagles. It was a controversial game, was it not?
Yeah, absolutely, Bongani. A controversial equaliser from Nigerian defender Calvin Bassey saw South Africa held to a 1-1 draw. That was in their FIFA World Cup qualifier in Bloemfontein last night. Super Eagles captain William Troost-Ekong inadvertently gave Bafana Bafana the lead in the 25th minute when an attempted clearance ended up in the back of his own net. While moments before half-time, Bassey towered over the SA defenders and headed in at the far post. Replays showed that the header hit Bassey's hand before beating Bafana keeper Ronwen Williams in goal.
Now, VAR was at issue there.
Yes.
It's not being used for this tournament.
No, VAR is not being used for these qualifiers, and that is probably a question that CAF and FIFA need to answer for, because that goal was allowed to stand, and it probably shouldn't have been. It's also
so we won, basically.
Yeah, I would have liked a real win on the scoreboard is something that I would have liked. But yeah, Coach Hugo Bruce was applauded rather his players for how they reacted following that goal.
It was a handsball, but okay, it was 1-1, and then you can expect from a team like Nigeria that they would play another football. It was like that, but when you see what progression South Africa make in that level of football, it's enormous. If South Africa of 2 years ago should have played against Nigeria today, we should have lost.
Bafana are still in pole position to qualify and need 3 more points from their remaining 2 games. In selected results from qualifying, Peter Shalulile scored a hat-trick as Namibia beat Sao Tome 3-0, and Cristiano Ronaldo was on target as Portugal beat Hungary 3-2. In the Premier League, Nottingham Forest have appointed Ange Postecoglou as their new manager. The former Tottenham manager replaces Nuno Espirito Santo, who was axed yesterday after just 3 games into the new season. The Proteas have less than 6 months to go before they play in another T20 World Cup. Their preparations for that tournament will continue today when they begin their 3-match series against England, and captain Aidan Markram says they'll use these games to test out some new combinations.
That's sort of the long-term plan, I think it's February next year, and having a look at personnel that we have sort of in and around our group that we feel can contribute to us lifting a trophy, and getting those smaller combinations and pairings right.
That match will get underway at 7:30 this evening. And World Athletics President Sebastian Coe has conceded that the heat and humidity in Tokyo will be a massive challenge for athletes to face at the upcoming World Athletics Championships. The 9-day event begins on Saturday at the end of the Northern Hemisphere summer, where Japan recorded their highest temperatures in more than a century. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
Feeling some lag in Sector 3?
Copy. Optimizing working capital. Ready. You're approaching a tight corner. Cash flow pressure ahead.
Low on liquidity. Supply pressure is building. Set.
Deploying cash injection in 3, 2, 1. Flow.
Nice move. Better supply chain control.
Lab time advantage. Faster cash cycles, leaner inventory, and optimized working capital.
Ready, set, cash flow. Corporate banking from RMB. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
For over 200,000 businesses, Yoco has been there, backing the rave and simplifying payments with their legendary little blue card machine. They've built a legacy of making businesses run smarter. Well, now meet the next generation of smart Yoco Counter. Yoco Counter is the smartest till you'll ever own. Your all-in-one hub for seamless payments, crystal clear recons, effortless stock control, and efficient staff management. Get real-time recons, manage stock, staff, all from one sleek device, and take your business from good to great. Yoco knows that it takes passion and hard work to provide your customers with award-winning service. So congratulations to all the winners in the 2025 Gauteng's Greatest with 702 powered by Yoco. And thank you for Gauteng for showing up to applaud the excellence that makes this province feel like home. Go to yoco.com today to find out more about Yoco Counter.
Mzansi, the wait is finally over. The Great South African Sale is here. Explore more for less with up to 50% off travel deals. Surf the waves, hike the hills, enjoy Gasi, and explore the wild. Book from 8 to 14 September 2025. Visit shortleft.co.za to book now and travel later. After all, it's your country. Enjoy it. Because nothing's more fun than a short left. Hashtag TravelWise Mzansi. T's and C's apply.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for general practitioners, dentists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Kuveni,
It's so nice to know the business risk is taken care of by business insurance. The call center was just a dream to deal with. Very seamless, easy experience, and it just feels like the people we're talking to on the other line understand our needs.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
EWN Traffic.
11 minutes to 8 o'clock. This EWN Traffic brought to you by the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency. Mpumalanga, the place of the rising sun. Now, there are delays on the N1 North. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. As you leave the Soweto area towards Roodepoort, this is between the Soweto Highway all the way towards the Albertina Sisulu Road off-ramp. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the M1 South, we've got delays between the Baklu interchange and Marlborough Drive, and there's also queuing traffic reported within the Sandton area. This is just on Greyston Drive, coming out of the M1, as well as on Rivonia Road, just as you approach South Road. And if you're traveling in Edenville, we've got delays on the N12 West as well as the R24 West. This is between Edenville Road and the Gillies interchange. Please drive with care. We'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Explore the wonders of Mpumalanga. Discover the ultimate wildlife experience, bringing you closer to nature. An adrenaline rush with endless adventures. 4x4 routes, or hike the Blyde River Canyon, the third largest in the world. The spectacular landscapes, majestic waterfalls. Mpumalanga has to be your destination of choice. Embrace the unknown, live the adventure. A message brought to you by the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency. Mpumalanga, the place of the rising sun. Visit mpumalanga.com for more.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is 1990, let's go to Gibson. Gibson, what's the question?
Yeah, the question is, in what year did Vanilla Ice release to the Extreme album featuring hits like SF Baby, which topped the charts for an incredible 16 weeks?
And which was sampled from? Queens Under Pressure. Queens Under Pressure. Don't worry, Gibson. You've got 2,000 Rand in cash. All thanks to Outsurance and 702. You know what?
All right, stop.
Collaborate and listen. I still know this song.
Hold me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo,
I don't know.
Turn off the lights and I'll glow. To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance, crush a speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deadly, when I play a dope melody. Anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it, you better gain weight. You better hit bullseye, the kid don't play. If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
Ice, ice, baby. There's a problem, I'll solve it. Oh, Vanilla Ice. We all thought he was going to be something in the world of rap and hip-hop. He'd sampled the song from Queens Under Pressure. This was a monster hit in the year 1990. Released on this day. Can you believe it? Now, there are 1,500 reasons to get an Outsurance car insurance quote today. Yeah, you heard it right. If Outsurance can't beat your premium, you can ask them for 500 Rand cash. They'll make it 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you choose. You always get something out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Hollywood Bet Aziz Shege. Beyond the Game is back for the new soccer season. Up for grabs is a share of 4 million Rand in prizes, including the Toyota Rumion, Corolla Cross, Hilux 2.4 GD6 DC, and a Starlet Cross. To qualify, bet 10 Rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures for your chance to score big. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
It's time to eat, dance, and celebrate. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is serving up 2 days of world-class entertainment from international acts to SA's finest artists, alongside culinary masterpieces from the best local chefs. Browse fashion and art, take part in live cooking demos, and soak up the festival's electric atmosphere. Saturday 20 September is for you and your crew. Sunday 21 September for the family picnic. DSTV is turning 30 and you're invited to the party. One ticket, endless experiences. Tickets at Ticketmaster. More on deliciousfestival.com.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
I really laughed at your videos. It's one of the lifts I get at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Good.
For the first time. I really could not believe these travelers were that doff, but I'll let you tell the story.
Well, I mean, sometimes in life we do doff things, and it just happens.
No, there's doff and there's this level of doff.
I mean, I still don't know how they managed to do this, but this is what they did. So they were in Rome and they wanted to go to Nice. Okay, just listen to what I'm saying. They wanted to go to Nice in France. So they go to the counter there in Rome at the airport and ask for tickets to Nice. So they purchase their tickets and they go and they're going through the gates and they look at flight number and they board this plane. Eventually they start thinking, something's wrong here, because now we're on a plane which is Tunis Air, and they realize they are now going to Tunis. So not Tunis, Tunis. Then they start asking the passengers and the air crew, what's going on? Where are we going? Where's this plane? And they start Googling, are we going to this place, this place? Just take a listen to this exchange. It's really funny.
Where? Wait. Tunis, yeah. I thought you said to Nice. Nice, which is in France. Oh. That's why you're confused. Tunis, yeah, in Tunisia. Yeah.
You're in Tunisia?
North Africa, not in France. You're not going to France, right?
Yeah, we are.
You are going to France?
Is that where this is going? Just go for it. Oh my God,
No.
Where's Tunisia? I don't know. Brittany.
Yeah, no.
He misheard.
They were going to Nice and they got on a flight to Tunis.
Yes. Well, I mean, so you can imagine sometimes maybe with accents and different languages, if you go and ask for a plane ticket to
Yeah, but there's
Nice,
a thing called reading. You
and
surely
the
look at your ticket.
I just found this really, really, really funny, and the realization of their stupidity. Anyway, they went to Tunis. That's where they went. They had to go. They were too late to get off the plane, and then eventually they booked another flight to Nice, which is not too far, luckily for them.
Yes.
So really, really funny story here of stupidity. So let's hear your moments of stupidity. Like you just thought to yourself afterwards, how could I be so doff? Why did I do that? What are your stupid moment stories this morning?
Listen, if you had to tell us all of them, we'd be here all day, Kabazela. But we'll leave you alone and let you go. Kabazela wants to know, what's that doff thing where you kicked yourself? You're like, how could I have been so foolish? Let's have some fun with that.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by the new Opel Grandland. With smart tech and striking design, it's German engineering on a grand scale. Test drive one today at your nearest Opel dealer. Amo, who's kicking themselves in traffic this morning?
Well, on the N1 South, Bongani, due to delays between the Brakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road, peak time delays there. There's also peak time pressure along the N3 North between the Elands interchange and Motorfontein Road. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Great entrance? Forget that. Make a grand entrance. Grand! Be late, make everyone wait, and be grateful they did. Peeps be rubbernecking, staring gormlessly like deer in your 50,000 intelligent LED headlights. Grand! Make a grand entrance in the new Opel Grandland, designed and made in Germany. Achtung, baby. Grand! It's even got massage seats. Opel Grand! Visit opel.co.za for more.
702.
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile Sambo, who's always busy. I don't know if you've watched our YouTube feed, Amo.
I knew you were
Who's
gonna
that
come for
person
me.
carrying with papers? AKG. They're always running around.
Wow.
You see them. Finder.
Wow, I knew you were going to come for me. Funny responses today, Bongani. From our morning question, if you know someone who's always moving around, it turns out a lot of our 702 people are those people.
Themselves.
Margaret on WhatsApp said she even goes around offering to babysit toddlers and these young babies so that she looks busy and everybody doesn't bother her because she's doing an important job. Well, the real action is happening elsewhere.
Yeah.
Nelisiwa on YouTube is saying, we must call these people deputy ministers from now on.
I love that suggestion, Nelisio. Deputy ministers.
Yes. And that is my feedback today.
All right, Baphelile, very busy behind the scenes.
Very busy.
Being a deputy minister. More of your reactions, more fun. Up next, it's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
More details emerge following a 16-hour hostage ordeal in Pretoria, and Cape Town has been rocked by another mass shooting. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. A family secret around the paternity of a child is allegedly at the center of a deadly hostage situation in Pretoria. 32-year-old police constable Tapelo Mashego held his mother and nephew hostage for 16 hours yesterday in their Mamelodi home. He later released his mother to police negotiators, but he shot his 18-year-old nephew and then turned the gun on himself. Khomotso Modise has the details.
Tapelo Mashego's uncle, Stephen Phela, says he received a call yesterday morning from Mashego's older brother informing him that the constable is holding his mother and nephew hostage. Phela says he called his nephew to find out what was going on.
I don't know if it was a secret or something, but he said he found out that the child he has with his girlfriend is not his, but is his brother's.
The 32-year-old constable also claimed his mother, who he'd held hostage for 16 hours yesterday, knew about the affair that his brother was having with his girlfriend and the true paternity of the child, but chose to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola has urged all police officers to make use of in-house employee health and wellness services. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in Mamelodi.
Cape Town has been hit by more deadly shootings, with police now investigating 3 double murders that occurred during separate attacks. Last night, 2 women were killed and a third person was wounded in a shooting in Kraaifontein. About 10 minutes later, in a different street, 2 more women were murdered. The police's Wesley Twigg says the possibility that last night's attacks are linked cannot be ruled out.
In an unrelated shooting incident on Monday, police members responded to a complaint of a shooting on the corner of 9th Avenue and Verster Street, Eikendal, where they found the bodies of 2 victims aged 20 and 22 who sustained gunshot wounds. Both victims were declared deceased on the scene. The motives for these attacks forms part of the police investigation.
The South African Human Rights Commission has approached National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola to ensure Operation Dudula is prevented from blocking foreign nationals from accessing health care services. The group has recently made headlines for monitoring the entrances at clinics and hospitals, checking whether patients are South African citizens. Yesterday, the Commission released reports highlighting some of the most frequently reported human rights violations from the past financial year. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Operation Dudula claims that public healthcare facilities have become overcrowded due to the influx of foreign nationals, regardless of their legal status in the country. The group argues that other African nations wouldn't grant South Africans the same free access to public health care and that treatment should be reciprocal. However, Tshepo Mahlingozi, a commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission, says that Operation Dudula is directly obstructing human rights.
We were very clear that it's unlawful for any citizen to try to enforce immigration laws. No one is allowed to play the role that is supposed to be played by Home Affairs.
Government has been criticized by some civil society organizations for what they describe as turning a blind eye to Operation Dudula's alleged xenophobic activities. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
And government has welcomed an announcement by global retail giant Walmart that it plans to open its first ever stores in South Africa later this year. In a statement yesterday, the company described the expansion of a strategic move to provide South African consumers greater access to affordable and high-quality products. Walmart stores are expected to stock up on fresh groceries, household essentials, apparel and technology. Deputy Government spokesperson William Baloyi says the investment is a sign of confidence in the country.
This announcement by Walmart comes in the footsteps of the company's first growth summit that was held in South Africa that resulted in the company recruiting small and medium-sized suppliers from South Africa and the rest of the African continent.
Gold is trading at $3,638.23 an ounce. The rand is at 17.51 to the dollar, 23.70 to the pound, 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.97 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 South between the Baklu interchange and Corlett Drive. There's also queuing traffic in four ways along Witgoppen Road, Main Road, as well as Winnie Mandela Drive due to faulty traffic lights.
And in sport, the Proteas aim to follow up their wins in the ODIs with victory in the T20 series against England starting today. Bafana edge closer to qualifying for the FIFA World Cup after their draw with Nigeria. And concerns over participants' well-being at the World Athletics Championships are raised following Japan's hottest summer on record.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, a family secret around the paternity of a child is allegedly at the center of a deadly hostage situation in Pretoria.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 8 o'clock, if you've just joined us, you are listening to 702 Breakfast. Earlier in the Africa Report, we spoke to Maurice Carney, the Executive Director of Friends of the Congo, just to give us a context and a background to the ongoing conflict in that country. It's been going on now for nearly over 2 decades. It's approaching 30, quite frankly. Millions of lives lost, millions of people displaced in that conflict, and it doesn't appear there's an end in sight. And the central thesis Maurice Carney gave us was that there are many outside players in the region and around the world who stand to benefit because, of course, the DRC is rich in so many minerals. The situation isn't helped at all by the size of the country. Kinshasa is quite some distance away from where these conflicts are happening in the eastern part of the country. The colonial legacy remains a problem there. And then we spoke to Fatima Hassan, the human rights lawyer, particularly around HIV care and treatment. So there is an injection that you can now take, and it's a twice-a-year shot, and if you take it, you will never be able to contract HIV. So it works as, I suppose, a pre- and a post-exposure prophylaxis, if I may put it that way. Clinical trials in this country and many others around the global south. And now that the manufacturers know it works, they decide which countries can have some of these medications. And when they don't want to go in those countries, they say nobody else can. Make that make sense.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's actually quite unconscionable, hey? We've used you as our guinea pigs, and now that we know, we can make these huge profits. And that's the kind of thing, Matteo Khariba, that makes people really, really distrustful of Big Pharma.
Yeah, Big Pharma, Bongani, if it's not the testing phase of the meds, it's how much they charge for the meds. Do they make generics for countries that actually need them, countries that can't afford them? It's the ethics behind Big Pharma that people are always skeptical of, because, the pricing of meds and things that are essential are quite high.
My worry now is whether or not people are going to be willing to participate in those clinical trials when they know what we'll never afford or get to these meds, even if they are proved to work. So that's certainly something of some concern. I also want to bring you up to speed with the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Advocate Matthew Chaskelson explaining the scope of the upcoming hearings. Remember, of course, that will be beginning next week. And essentially one of the things he's arguing, one of the evidence leaders, is don't have your expectations too high. Their job is to get to the bottom of the issues. They can't ensure, they certainly can't enforce that anything is in fact done about it. Have a listen.
The question was, are our findings binding? And there the law is clear, our findings are not binding. All that we can do is make a recommendation to the president. Our recommendation doesn't bind the president. It doesn't bind the people in respect of whom we make those recommendations or make those findings. So essentially the function of this body is to conduct a public hearing for the purposes of making recommendations to the president. We don't make findings that are binding. The president, we hope, will act on recommendations that are made, but our recommendations are not binding on the president or indeed on anybody else.
How does that sit with you? We're going to spend millions. The president, remember, said this is going to be done with speed. We're going to get reports within 3 to 6 months. But doesn't have to do anything about it.
Doesn't have to act on it.
Yeah.
So if a high-profile person, or in fact, if the president himself is implicated, he can just say, well, now we know.
How does that sit with you? Let us know on 011 883 0702.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Morning, Bongani and the listeners. In terms of doing stupid things, sometime this year, I left 300 Rand on an ATM. So what I did is I put in the card, and I think I was so stressed or in such a hurry that, the card comes out first. So after I took the card, I forgot that the money must also come out. Then I left, and then I took an Uber. So just as I'm about to pay the Uber when being dropped off at home, I'm about to take out cash. I'm like, yes. That's the only time I remember that I left money there. Oh, my word. Imagine you're already broke, but you're doing things that you cannot afford to be doing, basically, in this economy, Ramaphosa. I've never been so annoyed in my life. Victoria from Pretoria.
Shame, Bongani. I can totally understand how that mishap happened, because someone would be like, where you going? And then you say, to Nice. Like, to Johannesburg, but to Nice. And misunderstanding, to Nice, is another place. And so many of us don't check things, like you get your petrol pumped, you don't even, I personally have just realized I don't even look to see, was it really 500 that was put in? So there's many things we overlook, and something like this can happen. Shame.
Good morning, Bongani. No, mine, I didn't hear the example of Kabazela because I just walked into the radio. But my stupid thing that I can think of, or whatever tough moment, I was walking on the corridors of Mill Park Hospital, talking on the phone, and I saw these traffic officers, and I dropped the call. I was like, what have I done? I'm not driving. Come on.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, Uncle Bongs. I know somebody who became a victim to that. Bramfontein versus Bloemfontein. On my way to Bloemfontein, I tell a friend, hey man, I'm going to Bloemfontein for a weekend. It would be nice if you came through. Guess where they went? Hey, Jeff being a Hinderval.
Hi, Bongani and Jonathan. I'm just listening to this confusion with the aircraft. Firstly, reading, but also my budget and the way my pocket is aligned would not allow me to not pay attention to flight details. In fact, if I found myself in a wrong location, I would then just be relocating until the next economic upturn for me. Wow, to a whole other country.
Australia. I think that's the example you were saying, Matteo. And I don't know. So I recently traveled abroad, and I was so finicky because I think we went to Italy via Paris. And of course, everyone speaks French in Paris, and in Italy they speak Italian, neither language which I speak. So I had to be really, really careful so that, I know when my flight is boarding, which gate, what time. You read your ticket, you double check your ticket, do you know what I mean? So I get it maybe from a spoken word point of view that you might confuse, Tunis with Tunis. I get it. But you look at your ticket, don't you?
People don't pay attention. I also got in trouble, did a stupid thing by not being aware of my surroundings. I was at Eastgate, walking out of one of the entrances, cash and transit security guard, there. I'm on the phone, talking to my friend, having a good time, and I bump into this guy, and I'm on the phone. I put my hands up because, at that point, what do you do? Because he's probably thinking I'm on the phone with the other guys, telling them to now attack. I've never...
Was there part of you, looking back, that maybe overthought that moment, but as soon as you realized what you done...
No, it was his face that made me realize, okay, this guy literally, if he
one more move.
Yes, that's it for me. I was trembling for quite some time after that.
Well, I can't quite beat that story. I remember once coming from a work trip, flying into OR Tambo, being hungry for some reason. I think I might have slept on the plane. I hadn't eaten or whatever it was, whatever the reason was. And I bought sushi at Ocean Basket. And I knew that when I get home, I'm going to have it just... Now you take your parking ticket and you pay for it. And where did I put my little box of sushi? On top of those parking card machines. And only when I got home, as I'm about to, do I realize,
what a nice gift for someone else. When things like that happen, people say like that meal was for someone else.
Sushi is tricky. I don't know if I would eat some box of sushi that I found abandoned.
Well, the slip is there, the box is warm.
Food is food.
I don't know. Meat pie, chicken licking hot wings.
Meat pie?
I'd take my chances with pie over sushi.
Wow, okay, no.
No?
Pie?
Really?
702. Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Morning, Bongles and team. Maparihero report. In regards with Ramaphosa, it doesn't want to decrease the deputy ministers because it says out of 43 deputy ministers, 33 belong to the ANC. That's why it doesn't want to trim it. That's why. And the time when you say I see dead people, I was thinking of Kendrick's song.
The hint is there, Bongani. Because of GNU, the president has to have a lot of ministers, including these ones, deputies. So you can see that they are creating an employment, these ones. The careers, Bongani, they are protecting employment. Makaban, they are careers. That's the only reason, nothing else. Case in Kahis.
We're talking about deputy ministers. The president, as I said earlier, making a spirited defense for why we need them. He mentioned, of course, the GNU and the fact that all of these deputy minister positions had to be filled. But he also said they play a very vital role in how cabinet functions, and essentially arguing that, this is also part of the leadership pipeline because, deputy ministers have been known to go on and become ministers themselves. It's really quite something.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
Hey, how's it, Bongani? Welcome back. It's Stephen here. Morning to you. Morning, 702 land. Yeah, Bongani, just listening to really such an excellent guest about the DRC. Such a long thing. And two things strike me. The one is that by and large, I think our government has tried to do the right thing in the DRC in a very complicated situation over the years. And the other, as I was listening to you, I was just reminded of all of the reporting that Jean-Jacques Cornish did and how important it was over those years. And I was just reminded of him, and he's sadly been taken from us, in the last year or so. So just some thoughts this morning. I'll see you later. Cheers.
All right, Stephen Curtis there, the host of The Money Show. Indeed, I mentioned the efforts really under a number of presidents in South Africa, Thabo Mbeki most particularly, who of course had Jacob Zuma as a key point person as far as the conflicts in the Great Lakes region was concerned. And even under Jacob Zuma, and of course, I think even under Cyril Ramaphosa, you've had delegates coming to the union buildings, all sorts of initiatives that seem to have come to naught, quite frankly, because that conflict continues. And I think getting the context of those minerals and what's at stake for outside interests like the EU, France in particular, and the United States painted a picture of why that situation seems to be so intractable.
EWN Traffic.
20 after 8, let's catch up with the roads. Amora Miller, what are you seeing?
Well, an accident, Bongani, in Sandton along Greyston Drive after the M1 exit. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic in Bryanston along the N1, both directions between Winnie Mandela Drive and Rivonia Road. While traveling in Kelvin, please be on the lookout for roadworks taking place along the N3 North, approaching the Buccleuch interchange. Delays from Marlborough Drive. If you do see anything else on the roads, do remember that we are on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning, Bongs. Stupid things that we do, eh? I was, driving, and I decided to park on the side of the road, to take a lick. And as I was doing it, I saw that my car was moving, and I hadn't pulled up the handbrake. And with one hand, I'm holding on to my, and with one hand, I'm holding my car not to run away. And obviously, I couldn't stop because already, I was doing whatever I was doing there, and I couldn't hold it back. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a, funny moment, and I laughed at myself. Thanks.
Did you wish yourself?
Probably did. It was a mess.
I was judging that story from the get-go, and I continued to judge it, but I appreciate you sharing it. We're talking about those stupid things you could have kicked yourself for doing. These Americans on a flight to Nice end up on a flight to Tunis because they didn't check their tickets.
702.
The Worldview.
Let's catch up now with news from around the world in the Worldview. Chatting to Vicky Turner this morning. Vicky, a very good morning to you. One of the big stories, of course, no doubt, developing from yesterday, these Israeli strikes on Qatar. What's the latest?
Well, Hamas says 5 of its members were killed in this Israeli airstrike in Qatar's capital, but claimed that its top negotiators in Doha survived. The group said the team was meeting to discuss the latest US proposal for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip at a residential compound when it was badly damaged by a series of explosions. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has, of course, said that the strike was fully justified. Qatar, which has mediated peace talks since a month after the October the 7th attacks, called the attack cowardly and reckless. The Interior Ministry in Doha said a member of its internal security force was also killed. Lots of people were injured. And of course, Qatar is a key US ally in the region. It's home to a major American airbase, which has more than 10,000 personnel based there. President Trump says he's not thrilled about what happened there, but he was asked, were you surprised that it happened? Implying, were you informed before this strike? To which he replied very diplomatically, nothing surprises me when it comes to the Middle East. It does beg the question, though, if South Africa, say, decided to host some peace talks for Gaza, does that make you a legitimate target for Israeli airstrikes?
I think the answer is answered in the actions that occurred yesterday there, Vicky. Now, let's talk about climate change. Is there appetite to engineer cooling?
I'm always surprised by geoengineering. I don't know an awful lot about it, but every time I read about it, I think, wow, I didn't know things like this actually took place. But now over 40 polar scientists have warned against using geoengineering techniques. We're talking about things like thickening sea ice or reflecting sunlight to combat climate change in both the Arctic and the Antarctic, which, clearly are some of the most affected regions for climate change. They argue, these scientists, that the methods are unlikely to work. They could cause serious environmental harm and may distract from the urgent need to cut fossil fuel emissions. Now, I'm a layman in this subject, but I could have told you that. Some forms of carbon removal are accepted, they say. More extreme interventions treat only the symptoms of climate change. Now, the scientists are urging focus on reaching net zero emissions around the world, which they say is the only proven way to limit global warming.
I would still argue you're a better expert than I am, Vicky, on all of that. Let's talk about Apple unveiling the fruits of its labor.
Yeah, I think Apple's big sort of, unveiling their products, which they do every time this year, this time every year, has sort of lost its sparkle a little bit since the death of Steve Jobs. All their kit doesn't seem to be as innovative as it was when Steve Jobs was alive, but they have unveiled this new iPhone 17 Air, which, if you haven't seen it, look it up online. It is so thin, it's unbelievable. Although I would be wary of spending $1,000, they're saying it's going to cost $1,000 on this phone just to leave it in my back pocket, sit down, and for it to be squashed or bent, because it does look like you could do that quite easily. The thing that I'm most excited about in this new Apple launch is their new Apple Watch. Now, I know in the UK, they say something like 5 million people in the UK are walking around with high blood pressure they're totally unaware of. And obviously high blood pressure can lead to strokes and heart problems. Their new Apple Watch can actually detect high blood pressure and tell you about it. So more of a medical watch than just an entertainment thing. And I think that's really interesting. As an owner, though, of slightly older Apple appliances, I've got to say I'm a little worried. There's a new iOS update coming, as there often is this time of year, after the launch. It's coming next week, Monday, I think. And I know that some of my slightly older Apple devices are going to suffer through that. I may get a couple of new emojis, but I know I'll lose a lot of apps. So I'm a bit worried about that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how consumer culture has changed. We're no longer in a period, Vicky, where you keep something for life, but we must get the newest, shiniest, and latest. Vicky Turner with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
27 minutes after 8 o'clock, let's wrap up business news for the morning, Matteo. The retail group Spar saying it's difficult to exit Switzerland.
Yeah, they've had to pay a hefty price there. Spar Group will leave Switzerland in a complex transaction that values the business at just over R1 billion. The move will see Spar spend 19 million Swiss francs or 430 million rand into the holding company of Spar Switzerland. This allowed the portion of the debt which had arisen from the acquisition of that business in 2016 to be repaid. Additionally, an amount of 253 million rand will be reserved for the settlement of a fine that the business received from the Swiss Competition Commission. However, given the cash outflow, its remaining debt levels will increase, as some of this will be funded by debt. The Swiss business, which has 358 stores and 11 cash and carry outlets, will be acquired by Tannenwald Holding, and an entity set up by a large family-owned business in Switzerland. Shareholders seem to have liked the move, with Spar shares up close to 6%.
I mean, we celebrate good news wherever it comes from, but sometimes you're reminded just what a low base we have. So we've got growth, 2-year highs, but it's not a lot, is it?
The 2-year high is 0.8% growth. South Africa's GDP grew at its fastest pace in 2 years in the second quarter. The country's growth was boosted by stronger mining and manufacturing sectors. The gross domestic product grew 0.8% in the 3 months to June. This was better compared to the growth of just 0.1% in the prior quarter. As Statise says, on the production side of the economy, 8 of the 10 sectors in the country expanded in the quarter, led by manufacturing, mining and trade, while it was construction and transport that disappointed in this quarter. SA consumers also helped boost the economy. The expenditure side of the economy was stronger as household consumption increased for a 5th straight quarter. Now, despite the positive number, the still concerned that the growth is not enough for job creation in the country. Investor sentiment remained weak as the gross fixed capital formation was lower.
Let's talk the Rand.
Rand in a better position this morning against all three major currencies. 17 Rand 50 against the US dollar, in the green against the euro at 20 Rand 52 cents, and you'll need 23 Rand 72 cents to get a British pound. Price of gold at $3,644 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,385. Brent crude now at $66.96 a barrel. Stephen Grotes with more this afternoon.
You do the maths there. That new iPhone is not going to cost you 17,500 Rand. Right, Mateo?
No,
tariffs, taxes?
Taxes, all sorts. We'll get to 33,000.
Yeah, if you thought it was cheap, no, it's not. Right, let's get the latest eyewitness news. To Parliament we go. Swiso Zulu, good morning.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Members of the Correctional Services Portfolio Committee have slammed the department, accusing it of failing to prevent deaths of prisoners by suicide. Parties have also questioned the high number of prisoners whose causes of death are registered as unknown. They say the rise in unnatural deaths over the last 3 years is a concern, and how prison officials aren't held fully accountable. Babalondenze takes a look.
The Department of Correctional Services says the unnatural deaths in correctional facilities typically involves fatalities resulting from homicide, suicide, and as a result of accidents like drug overdoses. The department says over the last 3 years, there have been 1,144 unnatural deaths, with more than 400 still under investigation. EFF MP Carl Niehaus raised the alarm on the number of deaths registered as unknown.
I don't understand how you can come and tell me that there's unknown causes of death.
The DA's Kabelo Khobisa Ngaba says prison officials should pay a higher price where they are found to have played a role.
Are these people who participated in the death of an inmate and then got off with a verbal warning? What does that even mean? Why would you get a written warning or any sort of warning? Surely it should be dismissal.
The department says a number of deaths are still under investigation, and most suicides are usually linked to mental health. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
The pressure is on for the Government of National Unity to hit its economic growth targets of 3% in the medium term after GDP increase in the second quarter. The economy surpassed growth expectations in the 3 months through June, ticking up by 0.8%. Nokayam Dambo has more.
While the economy has seen 3 positive quarters since the end of last year, it remains sluggish. GDP growth is still expected to be only 1% for 2025 as a whole, raising concerns that the country is lagging behind and won't be able to create jobs at the current rate. While government has stood by its ambitious 3% growth target in the medium term, Northwest University Business School economist Raymond Parsons says there are still potential vulnerabilities in the present economic outlook. This includes the negative performance of fixed capital formation. Action SA has called on government to confront its own industrial policy failures to address inefficiencies in key sectors. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And finally, time is running out to catch the West Coast in full bloom. The annual wildflower season at the West Coast National Park is putting on a spectacular show, but it won't last much longer. Kayleen Morgan reports.
Every year from August into September, the Cape Floral Kingdom, home to over 9,000 plant species, many found nowhere else on Earth, erupts in dazzling blooms. West Coast National Parks management says this year's display is even more striking than last year's, thanks to less rain and summer conditions. But time is running out as the flowers are already starting to fade. West Coast Charlene Adams.
We've noticed now that the flowers are currently peaking and some of it is going down. So our peak season is between 15th August and 15th September. So around about next week we will see the flowers going down. So the week after that it might not look the same.
Visitors are urged to make their way to the park soon to experience one of South Africa's most spectacular seasonal displays. Kayleen Morgan, Eyewitness News, West Coast National Park.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 South, a stop and go between the Baklu interchange and Grayston Drive while travelling along the N1 South. More delays. This is along the N1 South between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. And if you're travelling within the Coronationville area, the reason for those delays along Albertina Sisulu Road between Commando Road and Mayfair area is due to protests within the area. So please try to avoid.
The top story this hour, members of the Correctional Services Portfolio Committee have slammed the department, accusing it of failing to prevent deaths of prisoners by suicide.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Why have you decided as the MK party to file a formal complaint?
The MK party is a party that respects the rule of law. We cannot have a situation where when we take power, then the rand is going to tank because now it's all these reckless, irresponsible people that are destroyers that are taking over. Self-interest activities like this one. This is a DA self-interest issue that is being articulated using a cabinet position. This is abuse of office.
Mzwanele Mani.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Selling your car shouldn't be a mission. We Buy Cars gets it. Life's short and time's precious. So get an offer online and sell your car within a day from wherever it suits you. It's really that simple with We Buy Cars. Shopping for your new ride? Discover thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted way to buy and sell cars.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
Mzansi, the wait is finally over. The Great South African Sale is here. Explore more for less with up to 50% off travel deals. Surf the waves, hike the hills, enjoy Gasi, and explore the wild. Book from 8 to 14 September 2025. Visit shortleft.co.za to book now and travel later. After all, it's your country. Enjoy it. Because nothing's more fun than a short left. Hashtag TravelWise Mzansi. T's and C's apply.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is being hosted on African soil, a global moment of solidarity, equality, and sustainability with Africa at the center. So tune in on Friday between 6 and 9 for the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 summit. Get all the latest news, views, insights, and breakthroughs from the summit as they happen. The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani. on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and 702 listeners. Stupid things that we do. Bongani, this other day I'm at Kilani Mall, and I see this old woman from an ATM with a lot of money. I think she's counting, but she just has a lot of money in her hands. And as I'm approaching, I'm like, "Hey man, you have a lot of money here. The next thing you'll be robbed and you'll be screaming, asking us for help." Before I know it, there are security guards around me and her, only to find that it's Thabo Mbeki's wife, Mezanele Mbeki. Very scared, but yeah, that's how it happened. Thabo Makuru here in Bramfontein.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's an interesting story. Did you feel like Mupapa? Did you feel like, ish, why did I have to open my mouth? Because sometimes these people, you don't see their bodyguards. But one step wrong, one wrong step. One wrong step. And they're there. Mawande, I was saying earlier, I once landed at the airport. I was hungry, hadn't eaten on the flight for whatever reason. Bought myself this nice packet of sushi from Ocean Basket. And I was going to have it at home. You know when you're like, I'm going to eat it at home. I must be sitting down with a glass of. Only when I got at home did I realize I'd left it on top of the parking machine as I paid. Have you done something doff that you thought, oh my gosh?
Yeah, there was a time that my mom gifted me a blender. And she'd put it in my luggage. And she told me this, but I wasn't listening because I was just carrying on with everything. And then when I got to Joburg, I was like, oh man, I need a blender. And I went and bought one. And then I didn't have the receipt. I don't know what happened to the receipt. And I ended up with 2 blenders because I wasn't listening to my mom telling me that she'd gifted me a blender and she'd put it in my luggage. And
you know, it was my birthday recently. Right? Just, I've got a spare blender somewhere.
Bongani, I'm sure you have more than one blender.
Tula. Look at traffic.
EWN Sport.
All right, let's talk about blenders. The Proteas in action today. Mawanda Mate. And I say blenders because one day they're playing T20, one day they're playing ODIs, and it's this churn
and the performances
of games,
are like that as
right?
Well. Yeah, the performances are like that as well after that massive loss on Sunday. But yeah, you are right, Bongani. The Proteas will be in action today. They take on England in the first of 3 T20 internationals at 7:30 this evening. The matches will form part of their preparations for the next World Cup in February. And ahead of those games, Captain Aidan Markram says the team is in a healthy position, in large part thanks to the SA20 League.
I think the depth is good. I think the SA20's done heaps with that as well, and naturally through that guys are getting more opportunities worldwide in different leagues as well. So you see younger guys coming through no longer fussed about the stage and the opposition because they've come up against these guys before somewhere around the world.
And speaking of the SA20, they had their auction yesterday, and Protea star Dievold Brevis fetched the highest price. He'll join the Pretoria Capitals, who put in a bid of 16.5 million rand, beating competition from the Paarl Royals, Joburg Super Kings and My Cape Town. Bafana Bafana took a step closer to qualifying for next year's FIFA World Cup following a 1-1 draw with Nigeria. The Super Eagles scored a controversial equalizer in that game that hit the hand of goalscorer Calvin Bassey. However, that result was not enough for them, as they only have a mathematical chance of qualifying, while Bafana need 3 points from their remaining 2 games in October. Meanwhile, Bafana coach Hugo Bruce was full of praise for player of the match Mbegezeli Mbokazi after his performance.
Look at a guy like Mbokazi. This guy has to go to Europe. He's 19 years old. You see the way he's playing. It's like he has already 10 years experience on this level. It's his third game with the national team. Third game. You see how we play. Let's hope that some players can do the step next year. It will be good for South African football, believe me.
And World Athletics President Sebastian Coe has conceded that the heat and humidity in Tokyo will be a massive challenge for athletes ahead of the upcoming World Athletics Championships. The 9-day event begins on Saturday at the end of the Northern Hemisphere summer, where Japan recorded their highest temperatures in more than a century. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
18 minutes before 9 o'clock. Let's wrap up the morning's traffic. Amo, what are you seeing?
Well, we still have got delays in the Coronationville area due to those protest activities taking place along Albertina Sisulu Road. As a result, delays between Commander Road and Link Road. Please try to avoid this route. You can still use Main Reef Road towards Amalgam as well as the M2 exit. While traveling on the Maragua North, bumper-to-bumper traffic between Boyson's Road and the Car Street exit. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 South. This is just as you head towards Midrand between Brockfontein Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road, and that's due to roadworks. Please be on the lookout. I'll have your next update at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
At Trinity House, authentic Christian values empower our students to succeed together. With passionate teachers and expert coaches, we support your child in reaching their full potential in the classroom and in life. Join us for our open day on Saturday, 13 September from 9 to 12 at our campuses in Centurion, Glen Vista, Rand Park Ridge, and Little Falls. RSVP now at trinityhouse.co.za. Trinity House, succeeding together.
Wayne, for you, what is the real deal? For me, it's really customer service. It's getting my money's worth. So if I phone OUTsurance and I've got a problem, they're always there.
So it's not just we've got your money, now off you go.
No, money is not the biggest deal for me. It's service. Just phone OUTsurance, get a quote and see what they can offer you. If you don't save that 321 like I did, you might get a 500 or $1,000 back. Service and savings, you'll always get something out.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What does you always get something out mean to you, Lorette?
OUTsurance made it possible for us to live our dream, to travel more with the money in our pocket that we save.
Let me know, what is it?
725. It was unbelievable. My husband, he sits there on the chair and he's just nodding his head and say, yes, yes, yes. This is really not just an advertisement. This is really real.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Beyond the roads they built, beyond the maps they drew, lies a place only the bold will know, where mountains rise like giants and rivers test your will. With a 2.4-litre turbo diesel and off-road capability, the GWM tank was born for this. Venture further in the Tank 300 from only $7,999 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Coming up
On the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
8:45, and of course between 9 and 12 is indeed the Clement Manyatela Show. And he's here to tell us all about what we can expect. Good morning, young man.
Good morning, old man. How are you doing? Is that going to be awkward silence? You know that's not allowed on the radio.
As fine as I was at 6 o'clock this morning. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
We often talk to our listeners who, in that polite South African way, every time they call us, they want to know how you are.
Yes.
But after the fourth time of explaining how well you're doing,
yeah.
And then Clement comes in and asks, Ujwang,
how are you, old man? But I told you the agreement is I'll ask you once a week.
No. Text me.
That's a compromise. But I haven't texted you today, so...
Yes, what I'm saying is text me. If you really want to know, text me.
Or you must remind me that, hey, I'm well today. Please note I'm well today. So, on the show today, we're going to start with the 702 open line. And if I asked you a question and you have to respond in half a second.
Okay.
And quickly and shout your answer.
Okay.
Who is the bully in the Middle East region?
Obvious.
Obvious. Thought you were going to really be brave enough to shout the answer. Qatar says Benjamin Netanyahu is the bully in the Middle East because of what happened yesterday. Even Donald Trump says what Israel has done doesn't advance the interests of Israel in the US. He calls it unfortunate.
If I may play devil's advocate, didn't Iran also attack Qatar earlier this year?
Yeah, they did. But Iran informed Qatar ahead of that attack. That's why Qatar was able to even intercept some of those missiles. They were not able to do that yesterday. It was more symbolic as well. It wasn't meant to really... They were just saving face. So we're going to talk about what happened yesterday because, again, Benjamin Netanyahu has done what he wants to do. The world is angry, but nothing is going to happen to him because who touches Benjamin Netanyahu?
Repeat and rinse. Rinse and repeat. We've seen this.
We've seen this many times. So we're going to talk about that on the open line. And then we'll also reflect on that tragic story coming out of Pretoria. I had your conversation with Khomotso Modise
Isn't
about
that
the
hectic?
latest. It's so hectic.
On so many levels.
Hectic. The poor woman who survived.
The mother who supposedly knew about the affair.
The affair.
The alleged affair.
Oh, my goodness. So we're going to chat about that as well. But between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're in conversation with the DA leader in Gauteng, Solim Simang. At 11 o'clock, we do our Listener's Choice feature. And today, we've been asked by one of our listeners to discuss budget underspending and how it affects us. And then we're going to wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space. There's an interesting story, Bongani, today from a listener who says she is, I think, 32. Mom is 65. She's the last born. Siblings have moved out. She's lived with the mom. But now she's in a serious relationship and she wants to move out. But mom is livid and says, you are not moving out or else. And she says, but you're 65.
What's the else?
Your grandkids come.
What's the else?
They won't speak to you maybe. Or I cut you
Mom
off.
will be fine.
Oh, some mamas out there are dramatic.
Mom will
So
be fine.
we'll
Yes,
read that
that's
story.
true. Ain't that the truth? But 32-year-old
must leave.
She must.
Yeah,
Come on
she's
now.
conflicted and she
Come
wants
on
some
now.
advice.
Aye, come on. You're 32. What's the worst mom could do? Move out. Clement Manyatela between 9 and 12.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, SA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options, from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Saddle up for springtime success with Hollywood Bears. Experience the thrill of the turf and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash and betting vouchers. All you have to do is bet 50 Rand or more on any horse racing meeting online or visit your nearest branch to enter. Spring into action and bet now for your shot at exciting rewards.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Tolliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Oh, I've said this so many times. It's possibly one of my favorite parts of the show every week, Corporates That Care. And this is where we highlight the efforts of corporates, of individuals, citizens really walking the talk to make a difference. And today I have the pleasure of hosting Richard Friedland, who is the CEO of the Netcare Hospitals. A very good morning to you, and always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Bongani.
I start with the same question with everyone. Tell me why you are a corporate that cares.
We believe in the fact that as a corporate we can be a force for good in South Africa. And that influences everything we do on a daily basis. And it's a real privilege to be a healthcare worker, to be able to treat people at their time of need when they are most vulnerable, and to treat them with dignity and respect, and particularly in a developing country such as ours with such a traumatic and fractured history. It's behoven of all of us on corporates to play our role. And I'd like to believe, whilst we can always do more, we certainly try on a daily basis to do that within Netcare.
You've brought in the most adorable pair of shoes. They're kiddies size 10. I'm looking at it and I think it's hard to believe either of us once had feet this small, right, Richard? But it's all part of the My Walk Made with Soul initiative. Tell me more about it.
So this was an initiative that began in 2015, and a lady by the name of Delani Bezuidenhout from the South African Vinyl Association visited us and said, look, I hear Netcare is very involved in sustainability initiatives, and would you be interested in recycling your intravenous drip bags because they're made of a toxic material called PVC? And we can make floorboards. And I said, well, that sounds very interesting. Why don't we trial it? And in passing, she said to me, you know, possibly we could also make shoes. And that triggered me because it took me back to my own childhood where in growing up, I grew up in a pretty normal South African family, privileged during apartheid, of course, until my father took ill when I was 11. He was retrenched. My mother was a school teacher. I had to go out and work at a bakery for 12 hours on a Saturday and on the weekends. And we grew up with secondhand clothes, secondhand books. And my mother insisted on one thing as a school teacher: you'll have a new pair of shoes every year. To restore your dignity, we used to walk to school for about 3 kilometers. And so I said to Delani, let's try shoes. And we began to research it. And Bongani, we couldn't believe the need in South Africa. There are about 15.8 million South African kids up to the age of 14. And there are 5 different quintiles of schools. The 5th level is the most privileged and affluent. But quintiles 1 and 2 are school children that are fed twice a day. They don't pay school fees. Most of their parents are unemployed. And we estimate up to 30 to 40% of them don't have school shoes. And so it's an enormous unmet need in our country. And hence, this project was born together with Adcock Ingram.
Richard, can I illustrate for you even further? Because I think sometimes in our little bubbles, we think perhaps it's a little removed from us. One of the stories I can never get over is my own mother telling me that she would have been in what you and I would have referred to as standard 4 when she got her first pair of shoes, and they were hand-me-downs, and the other children in the village laughed at her, not because she was wearing her first pair of shoes, but they themselves didn't have any.
Correct.
And they found it funny because she obviously had never walked in these things before. And she walked in a way that amused them. And so even from this privileged position, somebody like I am is not that far removed from that experience. And yet for many South Africans, as you've just described, who are in that situation, that doesn't seem an obvious way out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Bongani, when we did the research, I'll never forget a 6-year-old boy in KwaZulu-Natal, one of the rural villages. I asked his teacher to ask him, how did he feel about wearing this new pair of shoes? And he beamed and said, I feel like the president. And many of these kids walk several kilometers through streams, through mud. In fact, in winter, many children don't go to school because it's simply too cold. And when we started handing out these pairs of shoes in Katlehong and various other places, many of the parents coming forward were child-led families, and it demonstrated to us the enormous need. And literally for the cost of a short cappuccino, 35 Rand, you can restore dignity to a South African child. That's it. And that's my appeal here today, is for South Africans to get onto our website. I'm holding up a little cup of
cappuccino with these shoes just to make your point. Your appeal?
My appeal is that we've handed out 328,000 pairs of shoes. When we handed out the 300,000th pair in the Johannesburg in a school, the principal turned around and said, don't think this is some minor gesture. Look around you. 85% of the parents of these children are unemployed, and this means the world to them. And so my appeal is for South Africans to get together and come onto our website, mywalk.org.za, and donate the cost of a cappuccino. Maybe you can donate 10 shoes. We want to reach 1 million pairs of shoes this year. And I want to thank Sanlam in particular, who've just given us and donated 100,000 shoes. And that takes us to about just under 500,000. And our appeal is to the rest of South Africa. We know the need is 3 million pairs of shoes, but help us get at least to 1 million pairs of shoes this year. and restore dignity to millions of South African children.
mywalk.org.za. And for anyone who is doubting the quality of the shoes, I mean, I've been touching them since you arrived, since you handed them over to me. They're soft and they also look durable.
Absolutely. We've had them tested and approved by the SABS. The most important part of a shoe, and you wouldn't believe I've become a shoemaker, is the front part and the toe cap and the vamp. And if you get that right, you've made a beautiful shoe. And initially that's what we focused on, and then realized we had to do more in terms of the heel. So we've done a lot of market research on it, and Bongani, 85% of children hand them down to their siblings once they're finished. And so it has huge benefit. And also from a sustainability point of view, we've saved about 150 tons
of
from
waste.
landfill.
Yeah. I mean, it's IV drip bags, right? Oxygen masks, tubing. Just
Correct.
explain that process, because I almost find it difficult to imagine the link between those used products and how they end up looking like this bright, shiny thing.
Well, we recycle those. It takes us 17 seconds to make a single pair of shoes, and each shoe is 350 grams. So 700 grams or 20 drip bags effectively makes a pair of school shoes for children. And as I said, at a cost of just 35 Rand.
So this is size 10, a kiddie's size 10. Up to what size do you make the shoes?
We go up to adult sizes because we've got 14-year-olds and school-going children who are up to size 12 adult.
Sure.
So we make all sizes.
And if you want to participate, you want to buy a pair of shoes or even more, you simply go to mywalk.org.za, and through that website you'll be able to make a donation, yeah?
Correct. You can fill in a form, or you can contact our general manager, Delani Bezuidenhout, directly, and her mobile number is on the website.
Fantastic initiative. It's one of the best I've seen because it's practical, it's tangible, and you can see it. And I mean, if ever there was walking the talk, that certainly will be it. Appreciate your time. Richard Friedland, the CEO of the Nedcare Group, another corporate that cares.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of 702 Breakfast. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. It's 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulum. More people have been killed in the latest episode of gun violence in the Western Cape. 2 women were shot dead in Wallisden. 2 more women were killed in the same area. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia is currently in Cape Town to hear about gangsterism and gang violence following